Samoa Joe did not back down.
Has an opportunity to do something no one in AEW has done.
He's ready! He's poised! Okay, there's part one. Now finish him off! Finish him off! He's calling for it! This is it! This is it! Your career's on the line here! Do it! Do it! This place will erupt when he picks him up! He's got him up! Thank you! We've got a new heavyweight champion! Climb the ladder, kid! Make yourself famous! I just had an out-of-body experience! What did we just see? What did we just see? He got him a power slam! He got him a power slam! He got it! Simmons got it! Simmons has won the match! Simmons is a champion!
I've always maintained that reality is for people who can't face drugs.
Shit is about to get real.
You'll get to see your knee. Knee. Shit.
Look at the stare of the champion against the challenger.
What?
And now, Straight Talk Society presents Wrestling with Reality.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
It's going to be the biggest battleground in the history of our sport. The biggest match in pro wrestling history.
The two biggest superstars in our sport in the biggest event the sport has ever seen. The biggest match in the history of our sport.
Trying to run a little scalded dog here. Enough is enough. That's enough. No! Oh, God, that's enough! Stop it! Bam! Listen, Barrett's tougher than a $2 steak. Who is your daddy? Who's your daddy, Undertaker? Little slam! Toe slam! Who's your daddy, Undertaker? Lucifer's lips are the biggest size in the WWE! Somebody stop this! Somebody stop the damn man! Enough's enough!
What?
The irresistible force meeting the immovable object.
Santa's got your grill! Woo!
WWE Dynamite.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It's time. Let's rock.
I can't do it. We'll do it live.
So to escape from reality?
We'll do it live. Fuck it.
I am reality.
Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live.
Oh, it's live, Hal.
Let the slaughter begin! It is now time for
Wrestling with
Reality.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Junior, look at this.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
number one to be the man, baby. You have to beat the man. Heavyweight champion of the world. The time is now. Reality has become the present and the final lesson of the pain game
you. Woo!
The 90s have been referred to as the reckoning with truth. In the 80s, everything was clouded. Nobody ever told the truth. In the 90s, the way to go is flat out. Tell no lies. That's the way we're gonna do it. When you hear something from our lips, truth it may be, and as much as it may hurt, you can count on it being exactly the way that it is.
We want the gold, sucker! Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga!
Oh, what is up, Straight Talk Society? This is your host, Trevor, and I'm back with another episode of Wrestling with Reality. So waiting on Venkat and MD. I know Venkat works on Wednesdays now, so he may be coming in late. I'm not sure where MD is, but nevertheless, this is Wrestling with Reality. The best wrestling show on YouTube, and tonight we do have a special show, a show dedicated to the man called Sting. So before we get into that, though, I do want to go over a couple of things. I do wish MD was here, though, just because last week MD was at AEW Dynamite, and I'd love to hear his experience there. That's really what I really want to hear, what his experience was, but you know, he may still be working or whatever. So tonight's show is dedicated to the man called Sting. We know Sting had his retirement match a couple of weeks ago, and what a fantastic career it has been. So we will go over part one of his career, because the truth of the matter is, I was like looking up all his matches and looking up career highlights and things like that. And if we went over everything, you're probably talking about like a 5-hour show. And I'm absolutely not going to be doing a 5-hour show, just because I never allowed my voice to heal. So it's kind of hit or miss for me when I had to talk for real extended periods of time. So speaking of that, okay, good. There is MD right there. What's up, MD?
Peace. What's going on? What's happening? Can you hear me clear?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right, cool.
So,
What's up?
not a thing. So speaking of that, you know, I did mention on Man Talk Monday that I was going to take a 2-week hiatus, and now that MD is up here, I think he needs to see my avatar, because this avatar is for you, MD. So I'm going to take a 2-week hiatus, and the reason being, I'm really busy at work. I sent Venkat a message earlier. I guess he didn't get it yet because he hadn't responded. So until he hears it and responds, then I won't make any further announcements. I'll just say, like, I'm very busy at work, to a point that I've never been this busy in over 20 years. They gave me a lot of money in the past couple of weeks. Last couple of months. So, you know, I gotta do what I gotta do. Because again, YouTube to me is recreational. I don't make money off of YouTube. I make money in real life. So I gotta dedicate some time to work, which is going to keep me at work for much longer hours. You know, it's a struggle as it is. Today I got home at 5:30. It's a struggle as it is to get home. I'm going to be working till probably like 6 for the foreseeable future, just because of how busy we are. We were on the phone with one of our biggest clients today, and they said that they're basically rebuilding the entire power grid in Puerto Rico. Well, all the parts that they take to do that, they buy from us, which means that we got to go into mass production and yada, yada, yada. So it's a fantastic problem to have. I am like really happy as far as money. I have no issue saying it, because like people like to call me a bum and they like to say crazy things about me, but I make a lot of money in real life. And we'll just leave it at that. But So Straight Talk Society is not going anywhere. I'm going to take a little break. You'll still get Tapest Politics. You're still going to get the debate on the 25th. And then come April, we're going to be back full steam ahead. I just need to take some time off. There's things going on at my house that I need to fix and work on. I've neglected my yard and everything because I'm always doing this. So there's just things that I got to take care of. So that's that. But nevertheless, you guys did come for a wrestling show, and you absolutely going to get a wrestling show. Hopefully it doesn't go long because, like I said, if we went through his entire career, this show would be like 5 hours. This would be like a Take Fist Politics show. And I can't, I don't have the vocals to do that. So we're going to break this show up into parts. This will be part 1. When part 2 is going to come up, I don't know. But in this part, we're going to cover the bulk of it, his entire WCW run. So at least you're going to get the bulk of it. Then we'll come back with the TNA, WWE, and AEW run. So the next show schedule is for April 3rd. That is the WrestleMania 40 preview show. And then we'll do the WrestleMania review show, which I plan to go live on the main event for night 2. So Sunday night, when the main event is going on, I will be doing a live watch along. So, okay, so that's enough for that. MD is in the building. So MD, how you like do you know why I got Donovan McNabb as my
yeah, I was about to ask you. So what's the McNabb reference? Bring me up to speed.
So last night on Take Fist Politics, you said yeah, we not like Trevor. We don't get tired. So Donovan McNabb. So I guess I am the Donovan McNabb of Straight Talk Society because I got tired in the Super Bowl. So so
yeah, okay, yeah, that was clever. That was clever.
It's all right. You don't get tired. Shit, you run your mouth as much as me, you gonna get tired. Hey, I did want to ask you this one question though, because y'all, and I think Venkat trolling me at this point. He don't put up all my questions. So I asked you a question in the chat, and I was waiting for you to answer, but you didn't. So I basically told you, cut the bull crap. Because when I asked a question about Haiti being becoming a U.S. territory, and
right,
so my question to you then was, cut the crap. You more so worried about another set of immigrants coming over and taking jobs from black people.
Well, no, I don't hold that stance in terms of the economic impact to immigrants. My problem is not with economic. My problem is with political majority is my issue. This is America. It's more than enough money to go around for the world. That's my stance. I've never held a stance where I'm saying immigrants shouldn't come here based on an economic impact. No. My stance is where do we stand in terms of having political leverage as a voting bloc? That's always been my stance when it came to immigration. I don't care anything about you coming over here and garnering a living for yourself. No, I don't. That this is America. It's more than enough money to go around for anybody that wants to come here. The issue is when you start to then garner said money and then leverage it for your own special interests while we still get put on the bottom block of the totem pole. So it's a double-edged sword in the sense that we like Black Americans are kind of sort of the light bearers for people to have an example of what it means to overcome, but at the same time, that's all we do is hold the light. We don't do anything else. That's my issue. So I ain't got no issue with Haitians coming over here. Hell, for the most part, they stay in Florida anyway. I ain't got nothing to do with that. I ain't got nothing to do with it. Yeah, so I ain't got nothing to do with that. But when they start to see the light when we still stuck in the dark in terms of a political base, that's my issue. So, but that ain't their fault. For the most part, that's our fault.
So let me ask you this last question. I was having this conversation earlier with Mike, and Venkat just joined us in the building. I was having this conversation with Mike, hell, on my way home. What do you think? Because I know I'm assuming me and you think the same way. Do you care about some people making like? Do you think people have too much money? So like, if somebody's like a billionaire 5 times over, do you have a problem with that? Do you think they need to start doling out money to the public?
No. I don't have an issue. You can make as much money as you want to make.
Okay.
My only thing is, yes, I do agree from the democratic sense that they need to pay their fair share of tax.
Of taxes,
I do agree with that. Yeah,
and that was
I agree with that 100%.
Yeah, young Kev brought up a conversation, and I'm actually going to do it on Man Talk Monday because I just thought it was so fantastic about gentrification, and then we got into this whole thing about the wealthy and stuff like that, and then Mike, so Mike said something. I'm like, oh my God, Mike, don't tell me you're one of those two that try to tell people to do it what to do with their money, and because he was talking about, oh yeah,
it's not their money.
See, there you go.
Yeah. You should have known that was coming, Trail. You should have known that was coming.
Robbing the American workers blind. It's not their money.
So do you think you feel that way about Magic Johnson?
You're conflating and twisting and turning all kinds of ways.
You a question.
I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about when you undermine the value of people's work. If you're an old ass person and have a lot of money and you can't bend, lift, pull, move, and a younger person comes in, they're gonna charge that person. Well, actually, they're gonna pay that person a pretty low wage or a controlled wage, and there'll be no room for well, you need me to do this, this, and this, and it's vital to your life, but it doesn't get paid out that way. The money is predetermined and set at a lower rate, and that's it. Now, if I'm an actor or if I'm in some other industry, I have people to negotiate and wheel and deal and make make different offers, and you get a different rate like that. If you're in retail or if you're in the restaurant business or other things like that, service industry, this is what we're paying, and that's it. And in COVID, what did they have? A shortage of workers. And what didn't happen? Rate didn't go up. So it's a completely different parts of the economy are handled differently, and it's by design. It's not their money. That's a big thing that you would have forever to talk about it.
Venkat doesn't believe that we the people have the right to negotiate our own rate. We do. It's just the masses are asses and they don't do it.
Yeah.
So you mean to tell me, and I don't want to turn this to TLP. We got a show to do. And you mean to tell me that an individual doesn't have the brain capacity to negotiate their own rate? We have to have a union representative to do that? No.
That's twisting and contorting as well. I'm not.
That's what you just said.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying just look at the way other industries are set versus. I mean, some of these high-paying jobs, you can tell that it's not as crucial as other jobs that are deemed lower-paying jobs. Like literally, a company could fall apart with these so-called "quote-unquote" lower-paid workers. But the money is not reflected by the vitality of what your work brings to the business on a day-to-day. You would literally collapse if you didn't have certain workers in certain areas. But they don't get paid with that same notion in mind of how vital they are to the business functions. That's all I'm saying. And it's a known thing that the American workers have performed at a high rate for decades, but the wages have stayed stagnant for decades. But
Well, I'm not gonna say nothing else about it. Let's get on with the show. I just will say that in my industry, I have the ability to negotiate my rate.
in
Whereas,
your industry,
right? Yeah, I get that 100%. Whereas, take an example of somebody like a Trevor who has tenure in his company and is at a set rate, but Trevor gets bonuses and things like that I don't get. I just whatever I negotiated, that's what I get. So it's checks and balances in different industries. What I'm saying is the people have the right to negotiate indirectly by simply valuing their worth in terms of if they do the job or they don't. So in those low paying industries like fast food or whatever the situation be, so some services, it goes off of basically supply and demand like any other goods and services would go on as far as production. If the demand's not there, Van Cat, I don't care who's doing what, the price will go up based on the demand for said job. That's just what it is. So I'm not going to work the job if it's paying a certain amount of money. The consensus would be everybody else ain't going to do that job because of a certain amount of money. And by proxy, the amount that's being paid for said service will go up. That's just what it is. Now you take into consideration automation and stuff like that. Yeah, of course. But that's few and far between. I'll just say that. We'll leave it for Tuesday.
So, you see what Wayne's saying there, right? You saw what Wayne said in the comment?
Let me look. Wait, let me look.
It's hard to negotiate when it's someone that will do the work regardless of the pay. So that undermines the value.
So again, are we blaming the company for that, or are we blaming the society at large that's willing to do that work based on what's there? Is that the company's fault? Okay, let me be quiet. Go ahead, Trevor.
You know what I like. You know what I realized. So Venkat, all I did was mention Magic Johnson. No context, and I just asked the question based on the conversation me and Mike had, and he just jumps on me. But now with you is just he got nothing. But
that's what you got out of what just happened just now, bro.
Venkat, did you hear the message that I sent you earlier?
What message?
Nah, I figured you didn't look. I left you a nice long message in WhatsApp. All right, so let's get into damn. Wayne is in the building. Shout out to Wayne. And if you guys didn't already hear, March 25th will be the great debate. Wayne, Captain Manosphere, will be taking on MD, the political prophet amongst men. And topic of that debate is, did the Black Manosphere derive from the incel community? And it will be moderated by yours truly, the man with the greatest beard, on YouTube. And that is March 25th at 6 p.m. Shout out to Tequila, the best moderator in the business. Shout out to Ricardo in the building. Y'all make sure and hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And as you guys can see, some of you have been using them. I have been uploading emojis, specialized emojis for channel members to go ahead and drop them in the chat during your favorite show. So that is a perk that you get during channel membership of the Straight Talk Society. Everything else, I'll probably say it later. But let's get into this show because it's going to be long. And I got a lot to read. But before we get into that, MD, how was Dynamite? It was a fantastic show. How was it in person?
Oh, yeah. I had a great time. I had a great time at both shows, but I will say Dynamite was the better show.
What was the show you went to?
Collision. I went to Collision on Thursday.
Oh, I thought they were taping them the same night. Okay.
No. They did Dynamite live, and then Thursday they did taping of Collision. Both were great. The atmospheres were great on both. I will say Dynamite had more people there than Collision for for whatever reason. You know what I mean? But yes,
Whatever reason.
Dynamite was the better show that week.
I
So
don't think people know what collision is. That's the problem.
you know,
Seriously.
Collision is the best wrestling show on TV. But
Yeah.
you know what I'm gonna ask you next, MD. What was in just give me a number. What was the crowd like?
For Dynamite, it had to be a good 4,000 people there, maybe. I would say it was probably 4/5 of that for the Collision taping. But again, the seats that I had, great atmosphere. It was awesome. You know what I mean? I was right there in front of the action. Didn't miss a thing. You know what I mean? Hell, got to be part of the action for one segment. So it was great. My twins went to Dynamite with me, and Collision, my oldest, and his cousin went with me for the Collision taping. We had a great time. I went on ahead and broke down on Thursday. I bought me a Bruv shirt, Osprey shirt. I told myself I wasn't gonna spend no more money. But I saw it. They had it. I don't know why I didn't see it Wednesday, but Thursday I saw it. I said, hell, let me go and check out the $40. You know what I mean? So you can add that to the 500 plus that I spent.
Wow.
Yeah, they were $40.
Yikes! Are they?
I think they're cheaper. I think they're cheaper online.
That's about
yeah,
right.
I think they're cheaper online, but it's a live event, so they got to get $10 more out you. You know what I mean?
Are they at least Bella Canvas shirts? Or are they the heavyweight cotton?
No, it's the stretchy. Just like my Bullet Club shirt. It's the stretchy. I wouldn't call it dry fit, but it's the stretchy cotton.
Oh, okay. So that's a good material. I thought that they were trying to charge you $40 for that thick ass that itchy,
the hood white tee fabric.
Yeah.
No. It's a good fabric. It's real stretchy. I like that. Almost like a dry fit type fabric.
So my last question, because tonight is big business. It is when Sasha Banks is most likely going to debut. I mean, they've all but said it. How was that Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher match?
Oh my God!
Man.
Oh my God! Man, seeing it live,
man,
and the crowd reaction, man. Hey, Ospreay is that dude.
Yeah.
He how WWE didn't back up the Brinks truck, I don't know, but yeah, Tony Khan stolen one with Ospreay, and it's almost as if it's hard to say a company that's only been around for 4 years. It's hard to say that it's a renaissance, but I think AEW is being revitalized with Ospreay and Okada, and now let's see what Sasha Banks does. I think they're being revitalized, so AEW is in a good spot right now. Let's see how the booking goes. You know what I mean? But as of right now, they're in a hell of a good spot.
So my last question on that, though, when Okada came out, and he completely botched the Rainmaker to Eddie Kingston.
Eddie Kingston, yeah.
Oh my goodness, he completely botched that. Did you hear the rumors that he's getting $4.5 million?
I've heard $4.5 million. I heard something along the lines of 13 million.
Yeah, it's 13. It's 13 million for 3 years.
That's crazy. That if man, how see and this is where I feel like it's overkill. A lot of the stuff Tony Khan does. How can you justify $13 million for Okada? I don't know the numbers on Ospreay. I just don't. But I can almost guarantee you, as far as putting asses in seats, work rate, the things that he's going to do in the future, I don't know what he's making, but how can you justify not paying him that same rate?
And MJF is not even at $1 million.
Is that real?
Think about that.
Wait a minute, hold on. Is that real that MJF is not at $1 million?
That's absolutely real.
Oh my God, are you sick?
So think about that. So Tony Khan is gonna have 3 guys on his roster because he had to pay Okada, And Sasha Banks said that she wanted more money than Charlotte Flair, which is why she didn't come back. Because she wanted to be paid Charlotte Flair money. Charlotte gets about $4 million. So he could potentially have 3 people on his roster taking up $12 million a year, and then he's gonna have to pay MJF. When MJF comes back, he is going to have to, because MJF is their biggest star. Like, he is going to have to pay.
Well, we're gonna see MGF on SmackDown. That's what's
so.
going on.
Nirabom saying Tokyo Sports knows how to keep kayfabe. Nirabom, I heard that from John Pollock, which John Pollock is the one guy that I do trust in wrestling, but not really because of the story he just put up today. I was kind of pissed. He put the thing that had it had like different executives from WWE up, and it was like that knew about the Vince McMahon thing. But then when they actually did the story, he was like, well, these were people that were around when it happened, but there's no confirmation if they knew. So he clickbaited the hell out of us. I didn't like that, but that's a lot of money.
It was a guy next to me. When Okada came out, everybody was popping, and it was a guy that was sitting next to me that was talking about it, and he was saying that's what he had heard, the figure 13 million, and I think he said Sean Ross Sapp confirmed it or something like that. I don't know, but he said that's the number that he heard. So like I said, then I heard something about 4 million. So I was like, I don't know. I was like, 13 million, that don't sound, you know what I mean? I mean, yeah, it's Okada, but come on, this wrestling, like, he ain't Hogan, you know what I mean? Like, what the hell?
He was making close to that in Japan, though. So they got to keep it. He's not going to come here for less.
And that's crazy. That to even think that he was making that in Japan, still crazy to me. You know what I mean? Like, but hey, we'll see. We'll see. Oh, one more thing, Trev. So they did a taping of ROH when I was there too. Athena wrestled, and so they're setting up Athena versus Hikaru Shida at the next pay-per-view. So I think Shida is gonna win. I'm thinking they about to get ready to bring Athena to hell, I guess you would say the main roster. I guess.
I guess. But hey, listen, man, that Okada Fletcher match was, I mean, my goodness, that was, I don't know which was, I still think the Okada versus, I mean, not Okada, but Ospreay versus Takeshita was better, but not by a bunch, though. I mean, like, my goodness.
Well, I'll say this. After that first hidden blade, they could have stopped the match right there. So I will say it was a bit of overkill for it to be a TV match. I would say it was overkill after the first hidden blade. They should have stopped it right there. Hell, I was already thoroughly consumed with the match at that point anyway. So I was good. They could have ended it right there, but they didn't. I'm
glad you say that, though, because watching them, like my Peace Bones, my gripe with them has always been all the false finishes from these crazy moves. You hit a Poison Rana. You hit all these moves, and then you pin them with something as simple as an elbow to the back of the head. I know an elbow to the back of the head is concussion city, but when I just seen you hit a Poison Rana, that should have broke your neck and finished you. So that's the thing that I'm getting over with them. But I mean, you can't deny their in-ring product is tremendous. Like it's that match, and they got a thing with Ospreay, man. Ospreay is that he's that dude. I mean, again, when now that I'm forced to have to watch him, watching the shows weekly, he is that dude, like, for real. And I think he'll probably be bigger than Okada.
Yeah, and that's my point. You paying Okada 13 million. What are you gonna have to re-up Ospreay on? You know what I mean? So yeah. But other than that, yeah, it was a tremendous environment, great show. Hell, I got to meet a bunch of wrestlers after the show. It was cool, man.
Yeah, I saw your picture with you and D-Brad.
Yeah, man. Yeah, he just came out, man. Shook hands, took pictures. He just came out. I was like, oh, cool. You know what I mean? And I was right there. So yeah, man, it was a great experience. My next show I plan on going to because May I'm going on vacation to Savannah. So I'm planning on going to NXT Battleground. That's
you going to vacation in Savannah? That's your backyard?
pretty much. But hey, I don't see no water nowhere else. So hey, why not?
So, oh, you are going to an NXT show. NXT been on fire, man.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah, yeah. The week I'm supposed to be going is they're having Battleground is that's the pay per view after WrestleMania, after the Stand and Deliver, and they
Okay.
doing a Monday Night Raw next night. So we'll see. I plan on doing that.
Man, if you go to Raw, that's a marathon. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That's a marathon. You can be in there about 5 hours. Hey, the bottom line is, oh, Nerobomb saying I got my SmackDown, Money in the Bank, and NXT Heatwave. Hey, bottom line is this: if pro wrestling comes to your town, go. Go. I don't care, regardless of what you think about the company. If it's an indie show, definitely go, because that's gonna be the most fun you ever had is at the indie shows. But if wrestling comes to your town, just go. I mean, that's the bottom line. It's fun. Everybody should enjoy wrestling, and everything else be damned. But let's get into the man that we came to talk about tonight. The man called Sting. All right, so like I said, this show gonna probably go long because it is a lot, and this first part is only gonna cover his WCW run. No, I'm not able to get into everything because it is a lot. Like, this guy did a lot, so I can't go into every match. The fellas picked out some matches of his, and as we get to that point in the timeline, we'll go over those matches. I think I got it broken down pretty well. But bear with me because hopefully my voice will hold up. So let's get into this. Oh, but before we get into that, real quick, MD, not MD, Venkat, what's your thoughts on the man called Sting?
He's the franchise. He's the one that brought all the energy to the events. I can remember watching WCW events, and some of them wouldn't be that great overall. But when Sting came on, that was at least a moment that you could be excited about. So, and he always delivered. It wasn't, you had Ultimate Warrior on the WWF side, and you had Sting on the NWA side. And, everybody always said NWA got the best of that deal because Sting actually could move. He could actually wrestle. He could actually storytell in the ring. He could actually mix it up with big guys, with little guys. And it was just exciting to be in there. His entrance was great. That original theme is the ultimate theme. I keep forgetting what it's called, but it's a very hard song to get. But I did post it. I posted it online one time before, but
You're not talking about the
that's right, yeah. I forgot what it's called. It's a certain name for it, but and there's some kind of band. I don't think it's a known band. It's just like a underground band. But yeah, just great, just amazing. Sting was always throughout the '90s and even beyond. The way he reinvented himself, similar to Undertaker, the way he reinvented himself over the years. I think Sting is better than Undertaker as far as what he did and how he did it. But yeah, that's why I really wish those two would have met up at WrestleMania. That was like, if Ric Flair Hogan was a missed opportunity, Undertaker Sting was probably the worst missed opportunity in the history of wrestling because there was no need to not have that match. That would have been everything right there. But yeah, Sting, you just got to give him credit from top to bottom. He was always a superstar guy, even though he would say, hey, WCW is the second-rate program. We're always playing from behind against WWF. But even with that being said, there was nothing in WWF that was like Sting. So much love to Sting.
MD, what's your thoughts on the Stinger?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I concur everything Venkat just said. Sting is my introduction to pro wrestling, so that it's always going to be that sentimental value in regards of him as the wrestler. You know what I mean? Throughout the '90s, when I was watching wrestling, even after WCW, when he came into TNA, he's always been, his aura has always been bigger than everybody else in the locker room in terms of the things that he could do, the storylines that he was involved in, the people that he was able to put over and make stars from. You know what I mean? He is the franchise of WCW. He'll always be associated as being such. I wish he would have had a better run in WWE because he deserved it. But we can't change that. I'm glad that he was able to go out on top, and he'll always be remembered by it.
So, like I said, tonight we're going to cover his WCW run. We'll get to TNA, WWE, and AEW in a part 2 episode just because it's so much. But I will say, in doing like my preparation for this show, Sting, like I've never said anything bad about Sting. I always said I just didn't want him to get hurt. I didn't believe a 60-year-old should be doing that type of moves because I didn't want him to get hurt. That was always my thing. But doing preparation for this show, I think I might have to readjust my my top 5 just because just reading all this stuff, I'm just like, man, it's like every time I read something else, it's like childhood memory. And he was like literally the face of everything. There's a picture floating around at my dad's house somewhere. If I go over there, I'm gonna try to find it of 7-8-year-old Trevor with his face painted like Sting, or you may say it was Ultimate Warrior, whichever one. But that picture does exist, and I've always been a Sting fan. He had the look. I think I might love Surfer Sting more than I did Crow Sting. Crow Sting was cooler, but as a kid, like Bones is saying, he wasn't alive for Surfer Sting. He came around during Crow Sting. I had the privilege of being around for Surfer Sting. And when you had the dastardly heels, I mean, well, we'll get into it, but when you had the dastardly heels and you needed that hero, that was your hero. Like that was WCW's Ultimate Warrior, and he was absolutely better than Ultimate Warrior. I mean, I didn't even know that was some issue there. Like, I mean, Warrior couldn't do anything that Sting did. Warrior was an entrance and a look. That's it. Sting actually could go in the ring. Sting was fantastic, but let's get into this just because again, it is lengthy. So. And I got a bunch of stills. I got 3 different slideshow presentations. So let's get into Sting, whose real name is Steve Borden, professional wrestler renowned for his iconic career spanning several decades across various promotions, including WCW, WWE, TNA, and AEW. And so now here's a detailed look at his wrestling journey. So his early career, 1985 to 1987. Borden started his career in 1985 as Flash in the independent promotion All California Championship Wrestling, where he was in a tag team with Jim Justice, who is Ultimate Warrior, who would later famously become known as the Warrior, as a member of the Power Team USA stable. Before he and Hellwig joined the CWA as the Freedom Fighters in 1986. Then they joined the UWF as the Blade Runner, with Borden changing his name to Sting. His association with JCP and his successor WCW began in 1987. So see, we see Power Team USA, and if any one of you could tell me the names of the other 2 guys, I'd be shocked.
Well,
beats the hell out of me.
Pass.
All right. So here they are as the Freedom Fighters in CWA. You see them without their makeup, which just looks weird to not see these 2 with makeup on. So then this is where they begin for me. I knew about Power Team USA, but I always heard about the Blade Runners. I didn't see the Blade Runners wrestle because I didn't see UWF until after they NWA bought them. But as the Blade Runners with Ultimate Warrior, you see they're managed by Dirty Dutch Mantel. So the Sting, so now he comes to WCW and he has his first match against the Gladiator number 1. Venkat, who's Gladiator number 1?
Beats me.
Okay, Hey, just as long as we keeping it consistent, because I have no idea either.
I thought you were going to tell me.
No, I got no idea who that is.
Oh, okay.
Gladiator #1. So, like I said, we came up with a list of matches. So it now comes to this. So having established himself as a rising star, Sting was one of the few UWF alumni to be pushed in the NWA. At Clash of the Champions 1 in March 1988, Sting challenged Ric Flair for the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. The match ended in a draw after the 45-minute time limit expired, and the ringside judges could not declare a winner. So we get to this match. This was my pick because this goes down as my favorite all-time Sting match ever, because I don't want to put War Games as just a him solo match. So as a him solo match, this is my all-time favorite, Sting versus Ric Flair. This went up against WrestleMania. That Clash of the Champions show ran circles around that WrestleMania, even though that WrestleMania was one of my favorites because I just love tournaments. And that's the night Macho Man won the belt. But Vancat, I know you got glowing words about this match. What do you think about this
one? I was in St. Thomas, Virgin Islands back then, and I wasn't a full wrestling fan. I would just briefly see it. But I remember the day after at school, all these guys are just talking about Sting the whole time. I didn't know, I didn't fully know, everything at that point. But I could just remember the buzz of all the kids in the when we were in recess and whatnot. And that's all that was being talked about. Not even WrestleMania was being talked about that much. It was just I get because it's free on TV, so people are gonna see that over WrestleMania when you have to pay for it. But yeah, Sting was just the fact that he went the draw. This is you can look at this as like a Rocky story. Ric Flair is the charismatic champion, like Apollo Creed, and he's the champion, and he's known for winning. And you have this new young up and comer, Rocky Balboa type, and he pushed Flair to the limit. So just great, just a great move to have that happen. I wish it was an hour instead of a 45-minute. I think Ric Flair said the same thing too. Should have been an hour. That would have been even better. But yeah, it was great. I have nothing but good things to say about that.
So, I watched this match live just because my dad wasn't paying for WrestleMania, and JCP put this on as a counterpart to WrestleMania because they like, hey, you did that crap to us with the Survivor Series or Royal Rumble, because they put Royal Rumble on free TV. So they said we're gonna hit your pockets, and this event.
Well, you're right about the Survivor Series. Starrcade '87 got screwed over.
They both went on the same day.
Yeah. yeah. I mean, they did everything to try to undermine Jim Crockett Promotions.
Yeah. Hey, truth is truth. This show was fantastic. Listen, if y'all have any way of watching this first Clash of the Champions, go back and watch it, because it wasn't just this match. They had a tag team match on there that would have been match of the night had it not been for this. Those early Clash of the Champions were phenomenal. MD, I know you didn't watch this live. I doubt you watched this live, but I know you're familiar with this match.
Yeah. I was 2.5 years old when this.
Oh.
Yeah. So I wasn't cognitive enough to understand what was going on. If I did see it by chance, it was on TV. I don't know. But yeah, I have went back and watched this, and yeah, it was the launching pad for Sting in terms of his star power. No question about it. I do agree. And I did see the interview with Flair when he said, it should have been 60 minutes. But, that don't take away from how great the match was. And it solidified Sting as a main eventer that night. So, yeah, great match.
All I could see is a young MD face painted at 2 years old. all I could see.
MDC was 2. Damn, I was 8 then. So all right, let's move on. So Rhodes, who was the booker at the time, continued to book Sting in title matches throughout the year against both NWA United States champion Barry Windham and NWA television champ Mike Rotunda. In the fall of 1988, Sting was attacked by Hawk and Animal, the Road Warriors, after a televised match. Rhodes, as booker, identified Sting as the face who was the most over with the fans, despite knowing that turning the Road Warriors heel would not be an easy task. Rhodes himself teamed with Sting to challenge the Road Warriors for the tag team championships at Starrcade 88 that December. Rhodes and Sting got the win by disqualification, allowing the Road Warriors to retain the title. So let's go to Starrcade 1988, another fantastic match. Vancat used to make videos back in the day, and I think this was the one. Was this the match caused by when they stuck the spike in Dusty Rhodes' eye?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh my God. Oh, what a fantastic, bro. Oh my goodness. What's your thoughts on this match?
This is the type of stuff I love where, back then, NWA/WCW, they would have the best guys go up against the best guys. So, I mean, this is a dream team type match. This is an all-star match. You got Dusty and Sting against the Road Warriors, and the parallels with Sting being face painted and the Road Warriors being face painted. This was a great match. I just love the moments where you see Sting go up against Animal, go up against Hawk. Just that dynamic to see them square off against each other. As a fan, that's what you want to see. You don't want to see these run-of-the-mill matches. And throughout the years, Sting has been involved in a lot of great superstar tag team matches. The Steiners went up against Sting and the Great Muta in Japan. That was a great one as well. Not to mention the Sting and Luger match, but this is just up my alley right here. This is always the stuff. Even though it ended in a disqualification, what I got in the match was so worth it. It didn't even matter. So yeah, I love this.
So what do you think about the commentary though, saying that Dusty wanted to attach himself to the hot babyface?
Hey, do you blame him?
Yeah, I say why not?
Exactly.
Not?
I don't understand how that's a bad strategy.
That's why Evolution was formed.
Exactly.
So he could put himself with Batista and Randy Orton. That's why.
You'd be stupid not to do it. I mean, it'd be crazy.
MD, I actually wanted to ask a question because I know this is the year. I believe it was October when Turner bought Jim Crockett Promotions. What impact did that have on Starrcade this year? I'm asking you, Van Cat. I'm assuming that you know, you didn't know at that time, but now you do, huh?
So, what do you mean, like impact on that? You're on the Starrcade 88.
Yeah, Starrcade 88. Yeah, so Ted Turner purchased Jim Crockett Promotion. It was October, right?
It might have. I thought it was 89.
I'm thinking it was 89. It wasn't 88.
Yeah,
it wasn't 88.
Yeah, because they were fully even calling it NWA, and I think it was in closer to 89, 90-ish time. I think I could be wrong. Maybe you could be right, but I don't think it. I never felt as a fan that there was a major change. To me, because remember the show was called World Championship Wrestling for the longest. In 86 and whatnot, you turn on TBS, the name of the show was World Championship Wrestling. So now they just identified as World Championship Wrestling with the logo WCW. I never felt like it changed. And if you listen to commentary throughout 88, 89, 90, you'll hear them say the NWA. You could I could think back to Chi-Town Rumble 89, which was in January of 89. Back then, you could hear Ricky Steamboat versus Ric Flair. You could hear Jim Ross on commentary saying, these men are not out here doing poses and and coming out to rock and roll music, they are actually physically going at each other with combat in the NWA. And he would always say that, promote the NWA all the time, even though at that time they were WCW.
Right. Yeah, because WCW didn't divest from NWA to what, 93?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I would just ask that because I wanted to know did you as being like live there, did you see any change in
I didn't
regards
see.
to when Ted? Okay, cool. All
I
right, I
didn't
got
really. You don't really feel that change until 92, 93 ish. That's when you feel that change.
Yeah, when Jim Hurd took over.
Right. Exactly. That's perfect. Yep. And then I was just thinking about this last night. When Ric Flair left, it seemed like the whole promotion just changed overnight. Everything, the whole vibe, everything just changed. And it didn't change for the better. I think when Ric Flair went out the door, it went down. And it proved it, right? Because one of the worst pay-per-views of all time is WCW Great American Bash 91. Infamous. I ordered that. I paid full price on pay-per-view to get that. And it was, even watching it live, I was like, oh my God, what the hell is this? When you start off with a scaffold match and you have PN News big ass up there on the top,
Oh boy.
you know you're gonna have a hard time. So yeah, the whole promotion, just the whole vibe. When Flair left, so much left with him, man.
Remember, they wanted to cut Flair. They wanted to cut Flair's hair, put an
Call him
earring,
Spartacus.
call him Spartacus. So so that tells you everything that you need to know. So the next
Oh
highlight.
yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
So Sting returned to singles matches in 1989 after a long push.
This was a hot match.
Sting won his first title in the NWA when he defeated Mike Rotunda for the NWA Television Championship at a live event in March 1989. So let's look at this match. I didn't see this. Venkat obviously saw it, but man, look at that belt. That's top 5 belts right there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
You know what I like about it? I like the fact that it's silver because the gold is the world title, and then the mid card title is, the lower title is silver. I wish and then you got bronze. They got it reversed. The U.S. title was like bronze, but still, I like the different categories of medals that they used back then.
So I actually got this belt in my shopping cart, but looking at this one, it's not the one that I have. The one I have must be a revamped one, which is more like got more red in the strap on the outer. So this has the burgundy.
Well, later on they did have red in it. That's the one Arn Anderson. That's the one Arn Anderson made famous when he was defending it every week. Every week he would defend that title in 1990. I remember recording WCW before it was called Saturday Night. It was just WCW, and he would just defend it against Terry Taylor, Z-Man, just a host of different guys back then. Just every week you're guaranteed to see Arn Anderson defending that belt.
So this is Sting's first title, and he went on the feud with the Great Muta. They used to have fantastic television title matches. So moving on in the timeline, in the main event of that year's Great American Bash, we're talking about 1989. Ric Flair defended the NWA World title against Terry Funk, who was a member of Gary Hart's J-Tex Corporation. After Flair got the victory, he was attacked by Funk's stablemate Muta. Sting came to the aid of his old rival Flair, and the two feuded with Muta and Funk for the rest of the summer and fall, culminating in a Thunderdome cage match at Halloween Havoc 89. The old Thunderdome cage match. Venkat, what you thought about this one?
Love it. That was great, man. And the ending is so nice when Flair had Funk in the figure 4 and Sting came off the top multiple times. Oh, that was great. You had the fire that was on the top of the cage from the electricity that went off. It got caught on some of the prop and it was burning. The entrance is amazing. Sting's entrance when he first comes out and he's kind of like jumping and moving and like boxing and the fireworks, and then Flair came out and oh man, just great entrances, man. Like that was the one thing WCW always set themselves apart from WWF. WWF, you just walk down that aisle and it's the same way every time. No pyro, no nothing. No, they don't dim the lights. They don't do anything. And it was great. From the beginning to the end, great match.
And MD, I know we going up to your time, MD, but if you got anything on this, you can jump in. We just cruising down memory lane.
I've seen this before. Yeah, I've seen it before.
Well,
as a matter of fact, this so just to give back, well, I'll wait to give the backstory, but just to say less, this is my introduction to Muta, seeing him for the first time. And this is what made me a fan of him through Turner Home Video. So yeah, I did see this match. Of course, not in '89, I didn't. But I did see this match, and this is what made me a fan of Great Muta.
Yeah, I mean, but again, just another fantastic match. Sting is, I mean, look at the cast of characters in this match. You got Muta, Ric Flair, Terry Funk, and Sting, and I bet you that's Nick Patrick ref in this match.
No, that's Bruno. That's Bruno Sammartino.
Oh, Bruno.
Yeah, special guest referee. And he hit Muta. Muta tried to hit him, and he punched Muta and knocked him out the ring.
Look at the Hall of Famers in this ring. Like 5 legit. I mean, my goodness. So that
was the first time I heard of Bruno. When Jim, and that's what I love about WCW back then. Jim Ross would give you all that information. It didn't matter where it was from. If that was WWF at the time, they would have glossed over that person's backstory. Probably wouldn't even been called Bruno. You'd probably been the mass guy.
He would have been the Texas Tornado.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love now at least. I mean, Sean Spears came back last week, and they're calling him Sean Spears. Like, I mean, why not? I mean, like, come on, man. We know where they were. We know who they are. And I love the fact that they mentioned AEW, the Sting match. I mean, they're changing a little bit. So in something that none of us ever thought would happen. So the alliance with Ric Flair resulted in Sting joining the newly reformed and now face 4 Horsemen along with the Andersons, Arn and Venkat's favorite wrestler, Ole.
Oh, Lord.
Sting finished out the year by winning a 4-man round-robin Iron Man tournament at Starrcade 89, the best Starrcade ever. In the final match of the night, Sting defeated Flair to accumulate the necessary points to win the tournament. The victory made Sting the #1 contender for Flair's NWA World title, leading to tension within the 4 Horsemen. It wasn't until I was putting this together. Starrcade 89 Future Shock is my favorite Starrcade of all time. I did not know that the winner of that singles tournament got a title shot. I did not know that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I missed that, but Starrcade 1989 is still a top 10 pay-per-view. Again, that's another one I got on the list that we got to review. Like that, I mean, oh my goodness, that was a round robin point system that Sting ended up winning. And it's funny because Ole Anderson said that they came in to beat Sting up then, but Ric Flair waved them off. Brant Bones saying Sting was a horseman. See, I forget how young they are. They don't know this. Yeah. Hey, Bones, just enjoy the ride. We're going to take you down memory lane tonight. And
Lex Luger was winning the Future Shock. He was on his way to win it. And the Flair and Sting had to have a pin victory to beat him.
So let's move on to Clash of Champions 10. Sting was kicked out of the 4 Horsemen on February 6, 1990. And again, all these things I'm showing you, go back and watch it. This was one of the greatest segments ever.
Greatest angle ever.
Yeah, this was one of the greatest angles ever. Unfortunately, Sting got hurt.
For real.
So Clash of Champions 10 Texas Shootout, after refusing to relinquish his title shot against Flair. Thus restarting their rivalry. Later that evening, Sting experienced a legitimate knee injury, which, while interfering in a steel cage match featuring the Horsemen, Sting's injury forced the bookers of WCW to find a new opponent for Flair for the upcoming Wrestle War pay-per-view. So this night, you see I got it quoted up there. You're no longer a Horseman, and if we ever see you again, you won't be so lucky. Ole Anderson said that to him, and Sting was like, nah, wait a minute. And what you see right here is Ric Flair punched him in the mouth, and he was like, I told you. And he went to slapping them, paintbrushing them. And he's like, get out of my life, get out of this business, punk. Oh my goodness, man. Now
with Jim Cornette on commentary with Jim Ross.
Jim Cornette was having a fit on commentary. Hey, go and watch. That was, man, bro. This was as good as when the Horsemen got Dusty Rhodes in the parking lot and broke his arm at the gas station.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, man.
The reaction, the way that everybody involved played it felt real. Sting looking like, what's going on here? I thought we were good kind of look on his face. I mean, everything sold this. It didn't even feel like wrestling. It felt like they were really pissed at each other. They did a phenomenal job. Every one of them did. Arn Anderson, he's the enforcer. He's just businesslike. Ole Anderson playing like he's a freaking member of Goodfellas.
Yeah, with that jacket.
Yeah, I mean, the way he was talking, he just said it sounded like he just belittled anybody. And if I feel like hitting you, I'm gonna hit you. Like he just act like that. Like he just like you're insignificant, and I can crush you at any time.
Imagine if Sting was black.
Oh Lord, Rocky, damn. Oh my God, yeah, and then Flair, you know how Flair gets wild sometimes, because Flair was acting cool going into it, and it just ramped up, and he just started. And I love the fact that Ole Anderson said, "Oh, you're too nice."
Yeah.
You're too nice.
Yeah.
He said, "You got about 1 hour."
Yeah, he said, "Sting, I tried to buy you a little time," and then that's when Ole said, "Oh no, champ, you're too nice. Here's the deal." And then that's when he told him, "You're no longer a Horseman." Fantastic. MD, did you see this angle?
Yeah, I saw it when everything culminated. Ole played like a great role in this. Giving them the 1 hour and all of that. This is what started it. This is what started the stratus that is Sting. No question.
And then speaking of starting the oh my goodness. So this is a match that we all agreed on consensus wise. Like I said, I'll be sprinkling in matches that we all chose. So after Sting's recovery, because he was out for about a little under a year, Sting finally defeated Ric Flair for the NWA title July 7, 1990 at the Great American Bash. I didn't think this match was as good as their Clash of the Champions match, but I loved this because this one I was uber little Stinger, and man, I'm jumping up and down. The way he beat him with just the roller. Oh my goodness, man.
And remember, you got Junkyard Dog outside the ring, dudes with attitudes. Paul Orndorff.
Attitude. The Steiners.
Yep.
You can see JYD in the back there along with Scott Steiner. You had Paul Orndorff. You had Rick Steiner. I think Elegante. Yeah. Ole Anderson was handcuffed to Elegante up on the ramp just to keep the Horsemen at bay. It was great because Sid Vicious came out and tried to interfere, and Elegante fought him back. Just a great culmination for Sting. But so before we get into this match, 3 years in NWA, he's already their champion. I loved it. I mean, I ain't had no problem with it.
It was the right move. It was 100% the right move. Ric Flair. Yeah, and that's the other thing too. You watch this match, you see in the beginning, first of all, introductions again, amazing. After he won, the little fireworks on the little face that they brought down, that picture of him.
That was corny. The pinwheel
I love
fireworks on his face.
Well, you never see that in
that was kinda
WWF.
corny
You
as hell.
never see any of that. This different stuff where it makes you feel like you're watching something special. It's not a regular televised TV match. This is a different thing. This is an actual pay-per-view, and they make you feel like you're watching something different other than the regular stuff you watch every week. Yeah, man. Jim Ross, when Flair's going down, he's telling you the history of the NWA title. He's telling you there's only been like I think 2 title changes to begin a decade. And he named the 2 title changes, and he's like, "Will this be the 3rd one? Because it's 1990." So this is just chock full of tidbits and information and whatnot. I used to love listening to Jim Ross back then. It just made you feel like, for a moment, it's wrestling. You want to suspend disbelief, but at the end of the day, you feel like it's not insulting you.
MD, what was your thoughts on this one?
This was the breaking point. This was the breaking point right here. To me, like I said, it was a consensus that this if not the greatest, one of the greatest Sting matches of all time. Point blank, period. And you guys saw this live, right?
Yeah.
Well, for me,
I borrowed Venkat's video. So
for me, when it was happening live, I went right to the pay-per-view channel, and it's all scrambled up.
Yeah.
And you can hear every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So I was following it like that because I couldn't pay for it at that time.
Every now and again, you'll get a clear picture for like 5 seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. And I stayed with that match.
Yeah, those were the days, man. Hey, this generation will never understand that. Never understand it at all. But yeah, man, yeah. This culminated into.
You like this over the Clash of the Champions one?
Yeah, only for the fact that this is what culminated Sting being a superstar.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So, if you add that, aspect in it.
When you look at the crowd, that crowd was hype. That crowd was hype from the get-go. When the Freebirds was out there and they were calling Michael is a bitch. The crowd was calling him a bitch the whole time. That crowd was just ready the whole night in Baltimore. That was a great, great crowd. The atmosphere is good. The lights are bright. You could see everything. It was just great. I like it better than Clash of Champions, especially when you have him winning it too.
Yeah, I guess the title win is what really puts it over. And coming off the injury, it was, and again for a little stinger, like that was your champ, your guy finally won because the Horsemen had been. Dusty Rhodes couldn't do it. Nobody they put up against Lex Luger couldn't do it.
This Lex Luger wasn't there either. Right? Like he wrestled Undertaker early in the night, but you would think with him being Sting's friend and everything, he would have showed up at the end there.
Was he a face at this time?
Yes, he was. Yeah, Mean Mark Callis, Undertaker was the bad guy.
I thought that was heel versus heel.
Nah, that's not no heel. Lex Luger was loved back then. At that time, he was.
Yeah, because Mean Mark was out like shortly after that. I mean,
yes,
that's when they got called to go up north, as they call it. So, all right. I mean, we went to the highs. Let's sprinkle in some lows. So during Sting's first title run, a masked man known as the Black Scorpion would taunt and attack Sting on many occasions. This feud culminated in a final showdown between Sting and the Black Scorpion at Starrcade Collision Course in December. The cage match ended with Sting pinning and unmasking the Scorpion, who turned out to be Ric Flair. So we talked about this Black Scorpion recently for some reason.
Because of the devil.
The Black Scorpion thing was a bust because Al Perez was supposed to be the Black Scorpion. I don't think it would have been any better, but it was a crap show from the beginning.
When the Black Scorpion things were happening, it was intriguing at the time, and people were wondering who the hell that is. but they didn't execute towards the end though. They didn't do that. But there were Clash of the Champions moments where he would appear and multiple ones would show up, or sometimes he would be over there, then he would be over here. That I remember people saying that it was like, what's up with this? But yeah, they did mishandle it as usual. They they shop mastered it. So whatever.
What could they have done different on this? Because this
You need a legit guy. You need a legit guy that's known, and mainly that would have to be somebody from WWF. If they would have had a decent, they don't have to have like Ultimate Warrior show up.
Would have been Ultimate Warrior.
No, I'm just saying you don't have to have Ultimate Warrior, but you could have had somebody. Oh, even a Von Erich. If Kerry Von Erich was that, oh my God, because he was so popular back then with World Class. So if something like that would have happened, that would have been huge. But Al Perez ain't cutting it. And Ric Flair, you could tell that was like Damage Control. Let's just make it Ric Flair.
I mean, because you can't tell that's Ric Flair looking at this picture. Yeah. MD, what do you think about the Black Scorpion ankle?
Yeah. I got nothing on the Black Scorpion stuff, at all. Like, yeah, I've seen it, and yeah, not 1990. Especially the end of it.
I went back and watched some of them vignettes. Those were crap. Like the turning the girl into the lion and all. Oh my goodness. So Sting's first world championship reign ended January 11, 1991, when Flair defeated him in a rematch from Starrcade. In the same month, so here we go, 1991. In the same month, WCW seceded from the NWA. In the process of recognizing the WCW World Heavyweight Champion and the WCW World Tag Team Championship, Sting then took part in what many consider to be the best match of 1991, teaming with Luger to face the Steiner brothers at Super Brawl 1. So here we go, one of the greatest tag team matches ever, just ever. In all the wrestling, you had the Steiners versus Luger and Sting, and we know this is where Nikita Koloff came out trying to hit Luger. He hit Sting, and the Steiner brothers got the win. This was another match on the list. So what you guys got on this?
Well, before this match though, so in January of '91 in the Meadowlands, a non-televised event. It was just a house show type event. Ric Flair beat Sting in New Jersey. He was then recognized as the first WCW World Champion at that time. He was officially the first WCW champion back in January of '91. And then he would then go on to defend that title against Scott Steiner at the Clash of the Champions that same month. As far as this match, you didn't see nothing like this. In 1991, go back and look at 1991 WWF and even WCW. There was no matches like this. This match was ridiculous. You got a bunch of stud guys that are like buff, athletic, and skilled going at it. Jumping out the ring, Sting jumping out the ring, Luger with the power, the Steiner brothers with their innovative offense. Amazing. You can never say nothing wrong with that. I brought the videotape to school one day, and I played it in school, and none of these people like wrestling, and they were glued to it watching that match. Nothing else to say.
MD, what you got on this one? This was another one we all agreed on.
Yeah. I knew it was a Super Bowl. I just didn't know which one. I remember seeing this on VHS, and I was like, yeah, this is it. This is that. But I had a couple of questions I wanted to ask Van Cat, because I know about the succession in '91. When Flair came back and won the title, that was the NWA title, correct?
Wait a minute. Which year now? 91?
So 91 is when WCW succeeded from NWA.
Right.
When Flair came back from WWF and got the title back, that was the NWA title he got back, right? I don't want to fast forward.
No.
So it wasn't. So because my introduction. Go ahead.
When Flair came back from WWF, Flair came back in '93, I believe
Right.
it was. Yeah,
Right.
and the title he won was against Barry Windham at Bash at the Beach. Bash at the Beach. And at that time it was called the International title. That's what it was called.
But it was still the NWA title, right?
It was the big goal. Yeah, it was a big goal.
Right,
But
right.
yeah. But they would always call it the International. They didn't really say the NWA, even though it is the NWA, but they would always say International title.
Right. Because my introduction to pro wrestling was '93. And that was Beach Blast.
Right.
So
yeah, Beach Blast. That's what it was. Yeah.
Right. So when he lost the belt and then WCW seceded from NWA again, that's when they had the NWA World Title Tournament, and that's what created ECW with Shane Douglas because he won it.
Right. And then he threw it on the ground.
Right. And that, it was Eastern Championship. So I just wanted to make a distinction between the 91 succession and the 93 succession.
Right, which is crazy. They keep moving back and forth. It's crazy.
Right. Okay. Cool. But yeah. Again, it was a consensus. Like, yeah, I seen this on Turner VHS 2, and I was like, wow. Like, yeah, this was a great match. The Steiners, you can't top that as a tag team at that time. You can't do it.
If you like this, you should watch Japan Super Show '91 when the Steiners won the IWGP Tag Team Championship against what is his name? Chono and
Masahiro Chono and Tanahashi. No,
Shisasi. God, I forgot the damn name.
One of them Japanese.
Yeah. Great match, by the way. Just great match. And it's great because in Japan back then they would barely make any noises or say anything. They were making noises when this match was going on.
All right. So I'm fantastic. I mean, just fantastic. So in August 1991, Sting defeated Steve Austin to win a tournament for the vacated WCW United States. Okay, hold on. United States Championship. Sting held the title for 86 days before losing it to Rick Rude at the Clash of the Champions. Is this the one? Yeah. So this is one of my all-time favorite Sting matches. He lost, but the story in this was everything. At the beginning of I think it was the beginning of the show, Medusa came out. Rick Rude came and clipped his knee. Then
Lex Luger.
Oh, it was Lex Luger that did it?
Yeah.
So they took Sting to the hospital, and Rick Rude, Paul Heyman came down and was like, hey, you just forfeit the title. So they were like, hey, we're going to give him to a count of 20, which ironically, the ambulance was arriving back into the arena. And then, so you see Firebreaker Chip, you see Dustin Rhodes, you see all the baby faces in the back trying to root him on to come out. Then as soon as he hit a certain part in the arena, then you hear a dun, 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 and then he comes out and they're counting down, and then Rick Rude runs out on the ramp to fight him, and Sting with the one leg military presses him and just drops him and proceeds to have one of the best matches a one-leg man could have. And it ended with Rick Rude clipping his knee and rolling him up. But man, fantastic, man. Rick Rude was that dude, man. Oh man, Rick Rude was that dude. But this was your hero losing, but losing in a way like you like. I get it. I totally get it. What you guys thought about this one?
And then of course, in '94, Sting and Rick Rude had a match in Japan, and Sting ended Rick Rude's career diving off, and Rick Rude back got kind of like messed up on the stepway. Like there was like a raised edge that his back kind of like got messed up on. This match is great. This match is up legendary status, man. This match brought so much action to WCW, and I remember thinking to myself, man, Rick Rude was undervalued in WWF. because as soon as he came in, he debuted at Halloween Havoc 91. He was the WCW Phantom, and he had a mask on. And he wrestled, I think it was Z-Man or somebody. And he did the net breaker, and the commentators don't know what to, oh, he just did a net breaker. And then when he got up, you could see the beard, the mustache is hanging out, and then he pulls the thing up during the interview when he was being introduced with Paul Lee. And once he was disclosed as being Rick Rude, everything just ramped up in WCW, and he just brought an energy and excitement. And this match is probably the best example of how great Rick Rude is. And it was a great situation for Sting, needing to have a rival to go up against. So that was good.
MD, what you one thing I want to say about this though, Rick Rude, I always love Rick Rude. Should have beat Hogan, should have beat Warrior for the title. They should have traded it back and forth, but whatever.
Right.
I love the fact that he is jacked to the gills, but he's still so skinny. Like in the grand scheme of things, when you look at a Sting, you look at a Rick Steiner, a Scott Steiner, they're jacked, but they're compact and thick. Like Rick Rude just was like always had a lankiness about him. Just bro, so it just made it look like when he threw his punches that they hurt just a little bit more than anybody else. Man, Rick Rude was that dude, man. Sorry, man, damn, another one just gone too soon. He died at 43. Like, bro, I'm 44. I just turned 44. That's crazy, man. MD, did you see this one?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and to your point, yeah, Rick Rude was real lean. You know what I mean? He was lean. He was lean as hell, but again, he was strong as an ox. To Van Cat's point, and I continue to say this: whenever you have things around the ring that because Japan like to do, they do that where they had the steps in the center of the ring for whatever, like why? You know what I mean? It's always bad stuff that happens, and unfortunately, again, with that match, and I did see that match, like it didn't need to happen. It just didn't. You know what I mean? But yeah, fantastic match by Rick Rude. If Rick Rude didn't get hurt, I can only imagine, especially during the mid and late '90s in WCW, what he could have been during that whole NWO era in WCW, because he would have stayed.
Yep.
No question. They would have paid him, and he would have stayed. No question. So you can play what if with that situation. Unfortunately, we have to do that. But again, yeah, great match.
Hey, I'll be back in 1 minute.
All right, cool. You got anything else on that, Van Cat?
I mean that we pretty much covered it, man. The match was exciting. The crowd was really into it. They everybody just yelling, "Let's go, Sting! Let's go!" And they're just like pounding the ground. And you can just hear it vibrating throughout the arena. It was just a different atmosphere. Rick Rude did not get enough credit for just injecting a lot of, because I remember those days like it was yesterday. I know when I was watching garbage. And there was a lot of garbage at certain times in 91. Especially that was, Ric Flair leaving, and it was a tough time period between when Flair left and when Rick Rude came in. When Rick Rude came in, they got back a little bit more of that thunder, and excitement came with that. And having Rick Rude and Sting go up against each other was just great, especially the fact that he just left the feud with Ultimate Warrior in the WWF. They main evented SummerSlam 90 in a steel cage for the title. So, it makes sense. Rick Rude comes in, he's going right for Sting.
So I just got back, but you bring up Ultimate Warrior and Rick Rude. What's funny is, so you look at the matches that Rude and Warrior had, I mean, it's like Rude was handcuffed, but then you watch him and Sting. So Sting is better Ultimate Warrior. So you still get the face painted guy, you still get the guy that the fans love, but you get a guy that you could actually get heat on and make comeback, like a guy that's not going to no sell everything you do, a guy that can give you more than a 3-minute match. It's just, yeah, Sting is that dude, man. He just
Well, Sting had a better understanding for wrestling, and what he didn't know, he was willing to learn. That was the thing with Warrior. He just had this one image of his character and how everybody needs to serve it. With Sting would give and take.
Right. And this was the 91 Clash of Champions, right? Didn't they wrestle again in 92?
Yes, and that was great too. There was a 2 out of 3 falls match, and they had
that's what
judges.
I thought.
That match is even better, I believe, because that 2 out of 3 falls aspect, there's a lot of excitement in that match.
All right, so wait a minute, where did I jump to? All right, so at Starrcade 1991, Sting won the first ever Battle Royal, for which he received the Battle Bowl championship ring. Sting then became embroiled in a feud with the Dangerous Alliance, headed by manager Paulie Dangerously. All right, so the stable targeted Sting because he was a so-called franchise at WCW, and the Alliance vowed to destroy both Sting and the promotion he was a face of. At the same time, Sting was being targeted by Lex Luger, who had once again turned heel, and as WCW champion viewed Sting as a threat. Sting engaged in many matches with the Dangerous Alliance members, especially Rude, who was the group's biggest star. It was during this feud that Sting won his first he won the first of 6 of his WCW World Heavyweight Championships, defeating Lex Luger on February 29, 1992 at Super Brawl. It seemed like something got crossed up there in my wording, but 1992 Super Brawl 2, Sting defeats Lex Luger for the. Oh yeah, okay, I see what happened. Okay, I see what happened. I was cutting and pasting and crossed over some words. This is all good. So 1992, though, Sting defeats Lex Luger at Super Brawl for the WCW title. Anything on that one?
The match was shorter than I would have liked it to be, but I like the match. Some people clown on the match for some reason. I look at videos on YouTube, and it's just funny how things get revised over years. But all this time, I thought the match was great, and I thought others thought the match was great, and people are saying it isn't that great. But there's a nice sequence there where Sting does the Stinger splash on Lex Luger, boom, and then he moves back a little to look at it, the damage being made, and then Lex Luger comes out with a thunderous clothesline. I thought that was like a great sequence of events right there. The ending of the match, this might be the reason why people don't are kind of lukewarm to it, is that Sting goes off the top crossbody and pins Luger. But this is one of those moments where going into the match, at least I knew that Lex Luger's contract was over and he was not re-signing and he was going to WWF. So we already knew that was going to happen, and we hadn't seen Lex Luger for like a month and a half before this match. So
I don't remember this match at all.
You don't remember it at all?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I haven't seen this one either.
I do not. Now I got to go watch it because I don't remember this at all.
So the Super Bowl 2, the opener match was Jushin Thunder Liger against Brian Pillman. That was like a great match as far as and that was a match you didn't see back then, where they were doing a lot of high risk maneuvers outside, inside the ring. So that match has always got high marks. Also, Rick Rude wrestled Ricky Steamboat for the U.S. title. That was a good match too. Paulie Dangerously was in a ninja outfit and hit Ricky Steamboat in the head with the phone. There was some good stuff.
I remember that.
Yeah,
I don't remember this. I don't know. Back then I wasn't a real Lex Luger fan. I didn't appreciate Lex Luger until later in his run. I think I appreciated Luger more when he came back, like when he went to WWE for a couple years, and then when he came back to WCW. For some reason, I just liked him more. I wasn't a big Lex Luger fan. So I did get crossed up in my words. So let's go to, consensus. One of our favorite matches of all time. I know me and Van Cat. Hell, the reason this show started was because of this match. And this is the greatest War Games match of all time ever. Never ever be touched again. Let's go to 1992. You had Sting Squadron, Ricky Steamboat, Dustin Rhodes, Barry Windham, and Nikita Koloff defeated the Dangerous Alliance, Rude, Stunning Steve Austin, Arn Anderson, Larry Zbyszko, and Bobby Eaton in a War Games match at Wrestle War 92. Then it goes on to say Dave Meltzer awarded this match the highest rating of 5 stars. This is the greatest War Games match ever. But what I loved about it is what really started it. And again, Venkat made this video called Greatest Grudges, and it showed where Ravishing Rick Rude hit Ricky Steamboat missing hit Medusa. And Ricky Steamboat, being the great good guy that he is, he was all disheveled and everything. Ravishing Rick Rude came in and hit him with the hardest chair shot you will ever see or hear in your life. And I think when I said this the last time, this is what YouTube blocked, so I'm not going to say it again. He hit him with a chair shot so hard that it sounded like some fire. That's all I'm going to say. And then he proceeded to scrub his face into the ground. They had to block out all the blood because there was so much blood on the floor. So that was the main catalyst of this War Games match. I mean, just fantastic. I mean, we did an entire show on this War Games match where we broke it down move for move. This is the greatest. This was perfect. Like how I gave Ospreay and Takeshita 6 stars. This was a 6-star match. This was perfect. The only thing I didn't like was Dustin Rhodes trying to come off the top rope at 7 foot tall, and his head hit the cage. And Jesse Ventura said he's going to miss an elbow drop. That's what he's going to do. Like, that was stupid. I didn't know what the hell he was trying to do. But hey, that's greatest War Games match ever. What y'all got on this?
I can't say anything better than what you said. Just a great match. Bloody, violent. You just feel every hit. It's what wrestling should be. Just short from dying. I mean, the match was great, man. I can't say nothing else.
MD?
Yeah, I second that, man. This set the bar for what a War Games match should be. And, some would argue we haven't seen it. Like at all, when you have a War Games match, it's supposed to be about a grudge, and it's supposed to be violent, and that's what this was. You know what I mean? So yeah, excellent match.
Yeah, just fantastic. So near the end of Sting's battles with the Dangerous Alliance, the seeds were sown for what became arguably one of Sting's most favorite feuds. Famous feuds. Sting defended his WCW World Title on April 12, 1992 at the Omni in Atlanta, baby, against the 450-pound Big Van Vader. During this match, Vader splashed Sting, cracking 3 of Sting's ribs and rupturing his spleen. Boy, they say Vader laid that shit in. He Nia Jackson these moles around here. Sting recovered and defended his title on July 12th against Vader at the Great American Bash, dropping the belt to Big Van Vader after missing a Stinger splash, hitting his head on the ring post and receiving a power bomb. The Sting-Vader feud continued into 1993 with Vader, who was again WCW champion, defeating Sting in a bloody strap match at Super Brawl 3. Sting exacted revenge by beating Vader for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship on March 11th in London, but lost it back to Vader 6 days later in Dublin. So we just talked about this, I want to say last week or 2 weeks ago, but it's worth talking about it again. One of the best strap matches ever, the White Castle of Fear, Sting versus Vader at Super Brawl 3.
Yep. And at this Super Brawl 3, I just got to put a shout out on Too Cold Scorpio versus Chris Benoit. It's the first time I ever saw Chris Benoit was in this event, and that was a great, great, great match. Yeah, Vader against Sting strap match, awesome. Wish they would have done more to touch the 4 turnbuckles in succession with a short strap. I just love that match. That match was great. Also, another brutal, hard hitting. Vader's ears bleeding. This Sting picking up Vader, taking all that weight. Just a great back and forth between them. They've never had a bad match. They just get better and better.
Yeah, no doubt. Again, this was when I started watching wrestling, and this was the main feud going on at that time. And Vader was that guy. You know what I mean? Like, from the outside looking in, he was unstoppable. You know what I mean? You couldn't, and his entrance, my God. Like when I first started watching wrestling and Big Van Vader came out with the Mastodon helmet, and he put it down on the ground
with the
and then started smoking, I was like, yeah, ain't nothing going on. Vader was that dude. Point blank, period. And this feud is what made me a wrestling fan at the end of the day.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing else to add to that. Sting, this was tremendous, man. Sting, my goodness.
But you notice how many great matches and feuds and moments, they just one after the next.
So moving on from that, so Sting feuded with Vader and Rude throughout the first half of 1994. Sting won the WCW International World, I don't know what the hell is calling this, WCW International World Heavyweight Championship from Rude in April. Rude recaptured the title on May 1st at the Wrestling Dontaku in 1994 in Japan, but the decision was reversed because Rude had allegedly hit Sting with the title belt during the match. This was to cover for a real-life back injury Venkat mentioned earlier that Rude sustained in the match that forced Rude into retirement. So Sting refused to have the title handed to him and instead defeated Vader for the vacant WCW International World Heavyweight Championship at Slamboree. But let's get into this Sting versus Rick Rude match at Spring Stampede 1994. I think that was one that MD
I nominated this one here.
This was Venkat nominated.
Spring Stampede 94, Rick Rude against Sting. That was a great match. This whole event was great. The main event was Ric Flair against Ricky Steamboat, which was another classic by them. The whole event was great. This was one of the Nasty Boys against Cactus Jack and
Man Mountain. Oh my God, that match was great.
Yeah, I mean this whole event was just ridiculously great. But this
Man Mountain Rock,
Max Payne. Yeah, this match was great. And on this moment right here, you got on the screen. It's funny to me because this is when Harley Race came out there and talked to Sting and Rick Rude. He's like, I got a message for both of you. If whoever wins this match, and he got that voice, that whoever wins this match, the real world champion Vader wants a crack at the winner. And then he points at Rick Rude, and then he gets an ass beat at that point. It was just so silly. He was, I don't know, he's an elderly senior citizen trying to invoke his power or something. I don't know. It was just so weird. But this was a fantastic, fantastic match, action-packed. You watch this match, it's just going to be more of what you see from Sting, where his chemistry with a lot of different guys just goes so much further than some other wrestlers. He can just mix it up with so many different types of wrestlers, and he works beautifully with Ravish and Rick Rude. He also works beautifully with Vader. He works beautifully with Ric Flair. I mean, he just does his thing, man. Sting is great.
MD, what you got on this one?
Yeah, I concur with Venkat. Yeah, this is the first pay-per-view that I saw live. And I vividly remember it because, to me, the greatest television champion, because he came through my era. Lord Steven Regal faced Flying Brian in that match, the air versus ground match.
Yep. Yep.
and that was fire. Again, yeah, the up and down the card. Of course, the main event, Flair and Steamboat. This pay per view was awesome, and this match was also great. Yeah, this is the first pay per view that I saw live on TV. My granddad got it for me.
All right, so here's another one that was nominated in this time period. Sting
Oh,
versus
yeah.
Vader, WCW Slamboree 1994 for the WCW International title. I think Venkat nominated this one too. So what
Hell
you got?
yes. Yeah, this is great. Well, I'm just keep saying the same things over and over. But yeah, just a great match. If you got Peacock, go to that, man. It's on Peacock. Watch it. You won't be sad about it. It's great.
MD, did you see this one?
I haven't saw the Slamboree match. No, I did not the 94 one. So throughout the feud, what would you rank them then, Venkat, in terms of the Vader and Sting feud?
As far as this match,
I mean their matches, like all together, their singles match.
from 1 to 5, or
I mean you ain't got to go that far. Give me like 3.
it's his. Oh, you mean like the best 3 matches they've had individually?
Yeah.
Oh, they had another great match at Starrcade '92, the King of Cable match. That match was great. The Great American Bash 1990 when Vader won. That was one of my personal favorites because I was so happy when Vader won. That match was hard hit. Well, all of their matches are hard hitting. But I think that the Slamboree 94, I remember watching that match and feeling like, damn, that was like remarkable. I think that might be their best one. So I think this is the best one they've had, I feel. I'm going to watch more of that just to confirm it 100%, but I always left feeling that was the best one they ever had. And this is one that they don't talk about. They always talk about the Super Bowl III. They talk about Great American Bash 90. They even may talk about the 92 Starrcade. But this one, nobody really brings up. And I feel it's the best.
Yeah, I mean the White Castle of Fear one was my favorite just because that concept of that strap match, and I love that King of Cable. That whole King of Cable tournament was awesome. Dustin Rhodes and Vader had a tremendous match on television, leading up in like the quarterfinals of that match, of that tournament. Man, now I gotta just go back and watch all this old stuff. So that concludes this first slide. So soon after Ric Flair defeated, soon afterwards, so this is after the Sting and Vader, Flair defeated Sting in a title unification match at Clash of Champions. What's that?
Another Clash of Champions. Yep.
27. Yeah, 10, 25, 27.
And Sherry did a swerve on Sting.
Yep.
She came out with the face paint and claiming she was a Sting supporter, and then she screwed him over at the end.
Turning heel in the final moments of the match when she was called Sensuous Sherry turned on Sting and took Ric Flair's side. Sting spent the second half of 94 and most of 95 teaming with WCW's newest signee, Hulk Hogan, in the battles against Kevin Sullivan and the Three Faces of Fear and his successor stable, the Dungeon of Doom. At the Great American Bash 1995, Sting defeated Ming to win another tournament for the United States Championship. Sting defeated Ming in a rematch for the title at Bash at the Beach 95. And then Sting competed on the first ever WCW Monday Nitro in a match where Flair defeated Sting by disqualification as a result of a run-in by Arn Anderson, who attacked Flair. At Fall Brawls, Sting teamed up with... Okay, so now here we go. So let me bring up this next one.
Oh God, blasphemy!
Yeah, so I could take this.
Oh God, this guy.
I told you we going down memory lane tonight.
Lord. I always said a person like Hulk Hogan would never be in the War Games. And what did he do? He watered down the War Games to fit him. Oh,
yeah,
God.
that had to be one of the worst War Games ever. So at Fall Brawl, Sting teamed with Hogan, Luger, and Randy Savage to defeat the Dungeon of Doom, consisting of Kamala, Zodiac, Shark, and Ming in the event's War Game match. So I got nothing on this except it was just terrible. And this is the one where is this the one where the Giant came in at the end?
Say that again, Trevor.
Yeah, this is the one that the Giant came in at the end and did did the neck crank on Hogan.
Yeah.
So what y'all got on this War Game? I thought it was terrible.
It was bad, but the Fall Brawl event had Ric Flair against Arn Anderson, so that was one good thing. But other than that, there's some bullcrap right here, man. And the previous year, Fall Brawl '94, you had Dusty Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes, and the Nasty Boys. That was a good ass War Games, but
Colonel Parker's stable.
Yeah, Colonel Parker's funny as hell. But yeah, this was just they just crapped the bed on this one.
MD, you saw this one?
Yeah. I remember this. I remember the lead up to it. I think it was like the Thunder in Paradise set, and everybody was outside, and they had I remember all that stuff, man. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. This was around the point where I mainly switched over to WWF because I wasn't rocking with Hogan like that, like at all. But it is what it is.
And that's what Hogan did. He was so polarizing. A lot of pure WCW fans. He even admitted it too, that they may not fully take to him, and he was getting booed back then. So that's what caused the NWO switch. But he was getting booed, but rightfully so. He was just doing a lot of regurgitation from the '80s in the '90s. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, WWF the crowd start booing him too.
Yeah.
So enough said about this foolishness. So in October 1995, Flair convinced Sting to team with him in a match against Anderson and Brian Pillman at Halloween Havoc. Anderson and Pillman attacked Flair earlier in the night, rendering Flair unable to come out for the first part of the match.
Another screw job.
Sting fended off his opponents until Flair emerged later in the match. A reoccurring thing in Sting's career, Flair turned on him and reformed the Four Horsemen with Arn Anderson, Pillman, and then later adding Chris Benoit to fill out the group. I mean, Ric Flair, man, Sting was getting turned on like crazy by Ric Flair. But this swerve was awesome. Flair comes out, he hits the rope, and boom, and just nails him. And it was great. But, I mean, you should have saw that coming. What you guys got on this one?
So, what makes it kind of hard to see coming, is because it was in the heat of the battle with Arn Anderson versus Ric Flair. So Sting trying to be, hey, I'll be a good guy and I'll back you up because Arn has Pillman and you don't have anybody. So, but he did say it though. Sting did say, if you swerve me, and he sure did do it. And that would not be the last time, folks.
Absolutely won't. I got another one on the list. MD, did you see this one?
Yeah, I did. And I was elated because I was ready for the Four Horsemen to form. I had kept hearing about how great the Horseman was, and then one of my favorite wrestlers, I remember it vividly on WCW Saturday Night. Brian Pillman said him and Arn Anderson had scoured the global landscape of professional wrestling, and it turned out to be Benoit. I said, "Oh yeah, I'm here for it." Because at the time, I'm trying to think. Benoit wasn't fully signed yet. I don't think, because he was wearing the blue and white trunks.
Right.
He was wearing the Wild Pegasus trunks at that time.
Yep.
And him and Eddie used to come out, just had random matches, and it'd be the best thing on TV. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I was elated that they put Benoit and the Horsemen at that time. So I remember all this vividly.
All right, so
Trevor, have you ever heard Ric Flair talk about Chris Benoit since the murders? I've never heard Ric Flair talk about it.
You know what? There might be an interview on YouTube that I keep saying I'm going to listen to, and I never do. There might be one on there.
Okay.
All right, so we got a couple more to get to, because I'm starting to feel that tinge in my throat. So early in 1996, Sting's appearance started to change. He grew longer, darker hair, replacing his blonde flat top haircut, and he often wore black tights with a multicolored scorpion. Although he occasionally wore his colorful ones and maintained his colorful face paint. In the summer of 1996, Sting was the first WCW competitor to stand up to the outsiders, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, who had recently competed in the WWF, whose alliances and agendas were unclear and who had been infiltrating and causing chaos at various WCW events. Sting teamed with Luger and Savage to defend WCW against Hall and Nash at Bash at the Beach. Okay, that was the Hall Havoc. So at Bash at the Beach, Sting and Luger went up to Sting and Luger went up to the Rivals and Four Horsemen members Ric Flair and Arn Anderson sometime after the Bash at the Beach and asked them to team with him, saying that they needed to put aside their personal differences for the greater good of WCW. Flair and Anderson agreed, and the four wrestlers composed Team WCW for the annual War Games match at Fall Brawl 1996. So you had Bash at the Beach. We know what happened there. The Team WCW lost, but then your War Games match is coming up. So you have Flair and Sting. I mean, Sting and Luger going up to the Horsemen, like the enemy, my enemy is my friend. So now they're going up to the Horsemen. Hey, we need your help to go against these outsiders. All right, so they would be facing, I think. Okay, so here's Sasha. She's making her debut. Or is this Tony Khan? Who's the CEO of AEW? It's just saying CEO. All right, whatever.
But doesn't Sasha Banks call herself like a CEO?
Mercedes. Yeah, here she is. Yeah, she's okay. So they're opening the show with her. I thought they were going to save her for later. All right, so Sting and Luger went up to, okay, so let's get to, so you had the War Games match at Fall Brawl 1996. They would be facing the NWO's team of Hall, Nash, and Hogan, and a fourth member yet to be determined. On the final Nitro prior to the event, however, the NWO played a trick on WCW, claiming that Sting was joining their side. A vignette was shown where the NWO had recordings of Sting's voice playing it in the limousine as Luger was being lured into the parking lot. Once he was there, a man dressed as Sting, played by Jeff Farmer, attacked him, and the crowd at home, as well as the live audience and commentators, were led to believe that Sting had joined up with the NWO and would be their fourth man against the WCW team. Sting showed up at Fall Brawl just as his teammates declared that they would face the NWO by themselves. Sting told Luger that he did not attack him, but Luger refused to believe him. Later during the match, Sting entered as the fourth and final man of Team WCW after the imposter Sting had entered for the NWO. Once in the ring, Sting immediately took out all four members of the NWO. He then stopped, turned to Luger, and angrily said to him, "Is that good enough for you right there? Is that proof enough?" Sting then gave Luger an obscene gesture and walked out of the match, leaving Team WCW at a 4-on-3 disadvantage that they did not overcome. So you have the War Games 1996 match. There's Jeff Farmer. Jeff Farmer is the holder of the worst promo ever in wrestling history. Jumping Jeff Farmer. Just Google that and just be prepared to laugh.
Yeah, but that's not the yep.
That is him.
That can't be him.
That's the yep guy, Jumping Jeff Farmer. That's him.
No way. He doesn't even look like that.
That's him.
He's all small.
The crowd isn't going as crazy as I thought they would. Like, they knew she was coming. No, that's him. So Sting walks out on Team WCW, and they end up losing. So The next night on Nitro, Sting came out unannounced during the middle of the show with no music, no intro, no pyro. He entered the ring and with his back turned to the camera, side to the audience, launched into an angry tirade about what has transpired over the last week. And here is what Mr. Sting had to say. All right, so there you have it. We know what this is setting up. So before we get to what it's setting up, because we know what it's setting up, you have the whole Fall Brawl incident. He walks out on Team WCW. He cuts the promo on Monday on Nitro the next night, saying, "Man, she is getting no crowd reaction." He cuts the promo the next night on Nitro, saying, "I'm a free agent, but that doesn't mean that I won't pop in from time to time." What do you think about that? Because at that time, you had never heard a babyface of that caliber. I mean, Hulk Hogan did it, but that was due to NWO. But this man has been WCW through and through, and now he's basically telling everybody to stick it. So what do you guys think about what led up to it and the promo? I thought it was great.
Just like The Rock, Sting ain't wrong here. He ain't wrong. Not at all. Totally get his perspective, and he was right. Everybody doubted him. Nobody gave him the benefit of the doubt, especially Luger. In real life, Sting has been there for Luger on so many different levels. So Sting ain't wrong.
Yeah, for no doubt. For the span of like almost a year and a half, this storyline was the best thing going in pro wrestling. It's unfortunate the way that it ended. Well, I'm not gonna say ended because it really didn't end, but the payoff was terrible. Of course, we all know Starrcade '97.
Oh, we
But
getting
there. Say what?
No, I said we getting there.
Oh, okay, yeah. But at the time from Fall Brawl up into that point, that was the greatest storyline in professional wrestling. Point blank, period. And that's long term booking. You know what I mean? So that it was great.
You know why I love this so much? Because normally it's like, okay, Lex Luger is the one that you didn't trust because Lex Luger has been a scumbag. He's turned his back on you, but Sting had never given them a reason not to trust them and trust him. And the fact that they did, it drove him to insanity. Like he was justified in everything he did. So on the October 21st episode of Nitro, Sting returned for the first time since the night after Fall Brawl in a match where the imposter Sting was wrestling Mr. JL. Sting emerged wearing a trench coat and a white face paint with the black marks around his eyes. He went in the ring and attacked the NWO Sting with his new finisher, an inverted DDT dubbed the Scorpion Death Drop. 2 jumping elbows, a Stinger splash, and a Scorpion Deathlock while the rest of the NWO stood ringside. Rather than intervene and save their stablemate, they simply stood by and watched. After Sting was done, the NWO came into the ring. Ted DiBiase, Scott Hall, and Kevin Nash made Sting an offer to join the NWO and get back at WCW for betraying them. Sting, after a slight pause, first called the NWO Sting as a cheap imitation before telling the NWO the real Sting may or may not be in your price range, and then concluded by saying the only thing that's for sure about Sting is nothing is for sure. With that, Sting left the ring and would not speak on the microphone on WCW program again for over a year. A silent, almost ghostly Sting carrying a baseball bat as a weapon began appearing in the rafters at WCW events and began painting his entire face with black and white corpse paint. Sting's new gimmick was directly inspired by the title character of the 1994 film The Crow, and Borden credited Scott Hall for suggesting the idea of the Crow character. So now we have the seeds planted for Crow Sting. So let's move on. So in a series of unusual loyalty tests over the next month, Sting would confront a random WCW wrestler in the ring and shove the wrestler several times with his bat until the wrestler was provoked enough to advance on him. Then Sting would draw the weapon back as if he were going to assault him, causing the wrestler to stop. Sting would then hand the bat off to the offended wrestler and turn his back, offering the wrestler a chance at retaliation. When the wrestler hesitated or declined, Sting would nod, retrieve the bat, and leave the ring. So we got the seeds of the Crows Sting. So let's just take it. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna get to 19. We're gonna get to it.
So that whole thing you described there, that worked with everybody except for one guy, Rick Steiner. He gave Rick Steiner that bat, and Rick Steiner used that bat.
Well, he didn't use it this time.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm saying the only person I've seen where Sting did that whole pushing them, and then turning his back, gave them the bat. Nobody hit Sting. The only person I've ever seen hit Sting was Rick Steiner. It was crazy to see it. He hit the hell out of him too.
We gonna get to a Rick Steiner Sting moment coming up too. So let's get to what MD want to talk about, because I know this is coming. So in January 1997, a blackballed Randy Savage returned to WCW for the first time since Halloween Havoc and aligned himself with Sting as a free agent, as he refused to join the NWO, although WCW Vice President Eric Bischoff, also one of the leaders of the NWO, declared he would not be allowed back in WCW if he didn't. For the next few weeks, the two were seen in the rafters together and coming to the ring together. This story, however, petered out at Super Brawl 7 in February. Sting and Savage had come to the ring together to watch Roddy Piper face Hogan in a match for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. As Sting left, Savage did not follow suit, instead opting to go to the ring and help Hogan win the match, thus going back on his word and joining the NWO. So over the next couple of weeks, Sting would accompany the NWO, indicating that he too had joined the group. However, at Uncensored in March 1997, as the NWO celebrated a victory in the main event Battle Royal, which guaranteed them title shots whenever they desired, their newest recruit, Chicago Bulls NBA star Dennis Rodman, Sting repelled from the roof of the arena on his zip line. When Hall and Nash went to approach him, Sting attacked them as well as attacking Savage when he tried to intervene, revealing his true allegiance to WCW. So now they're building up to it. In the subsequent weeks, Sting frequently repelled from the rafters or came through the ring, attacking unexpected NWO members. So let's go. So he came to the aid of wrestlers who were once subject to his loyalty test as they battled the NWO and employed decoy Stings to play mind games on the NWO during the closing segments of Nitro. Sting's apparent. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, great. Those were great moments when the Sting Army, when they used to come out. Man, great moments.
Yeah, WCW had something with that, man, till they butchered it. Sting's appearances to fight the NWO at the end of almost every Nitro helped WCW keep and widen its television ratings advantage over the WWF's Monday Night Raw throughout the summer. In the midst of all this, on-screen WCW commissioner J.J. Dillon tried many times to get Sting to return to wrestling by making contracts to fight various NWO members. Sting, however, did not accept any of the contracts, often tearing them up in Dillon's face. Finally, during an episode of Nitro, a confused and frustrated Dillon asked Sting who he wanted. Sting went out to ringside, picked up a fan sign, and pointed out one name on it: Hogan. Eventually, Sting got his wish, and he and Hogan finally met in December at Starrcade for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. So, we're getting there. Let me make sure I'm progressing in the slides as I'm reading from a different screen. All right, so let's get to what MD wants to talk about. So, the finish of this match was supposed to echo the Montreal screw job finish that the WWF had used to double-cross Bret Hart just 1 month earlier at Survivor Series. Nick Patrick, the referee for the contest, was supposed to execute a fast count on Sting, while Hart, whose signing with WCW was the linchpin for the Montreal Screwjob, would come out and protest the decision, since he had already served as a guest referee earlier in the night. He would order that the match be restarted, and Sting would emerge victorious by forcing Hogan to submit to the Scorpion Deathlock. However, Patrick did not do his part properly, and instead of counting the pin at normal speed, which added an unintentional level of controversy to the finish. So, now we're going to get into this Sting and Hulk Hogan. And this is where they say you had one job. You had the greatest year storyline ever. I'll give you that. This was one of the greatest storylines ever. Your hero coming back to defend the company. You had one job. Don't screw up your biggest show ever. And what did WCW do? They screwed it up. But before we get into that, let's see what MD wants to see. Because MD didn't say he liked the match. He said he wanted to
When a man's heart is full of deceit, he burns up, dies, and a dark shadow falls over his soul. From the ashes of a once great man is risen a curse, a wrong that must be righted. We look to the skies for a vindicator, someone to strike fear into the black hearts of the same man who created him. The battle between good and evil has begun. Against an army of shadows comes a dark warrior, the purveyor of good, with a voice of silence and a mission of justice. This is Sting.
WCW's title from the NWO. That's a cold.
All right. So obviously, I had to butcher up the entrance because for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Bones is saying I was just typing about the fire entrance when you played it. Yeah, Bones, I can tell you, I got this covered. This presentation took me a long time to do. So let's get into this match. I first of all, the match just wasn't good just as a match on the whole. Regardless, it's okay. Sting hadn't wrestled in a year. And Hogan isn't the greatest ring technician, but the match just really wasn't good outside of the finish. But the finish just made it worse because Bret Hart basically said this isn't going to happen again when nothing bad happened. Nick Patrick counted the match correctly. So y'all go ahead and give my voice a chance to heal back up. Y'all go ahead and just ride out on the match.
Well, I don't have a major problem with the Starrcade finish and all that stuff like that. I think the internet again run wild with this type of stuff. When I didn't see this live, I watched it on videotape years later. And when I watched it, I just saw Sting won. I thought it was weird at the end a little bit, but I just saw Sting won. I saw everybody come out, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And that was it. I think that a lot of this is just made to be more than what it is. If anything, the argument is misplaced. Like everybody's talking about, the count of Nick Patrick, all this crap. You should be going to the root of the issue. Why the hell do you have to have a finish like that anyway? Sting and Hogan should have gone at it, and then there should have just been a legitimate win at the end. See, like with Ultimate Warrior and Hogan in 1990 at WrestleMania, even then when he had to lose, he did a little kick out at the end because he's so petty. And that's the problem. The problem isn't like Nick Patrick. Like people looking to crucify Nick Patrick and whatnot. You shouldn't have had that type of ending to begin with. I think it's silly. Just play it straight. That story wrote itself. All you had to do was roll around in the ring for a good 12 minutes and then just have a guy get pinned and everybody be like, oh my God, that's the greatest I've ever seen in my life. That's how over that story was to begin with. You didn't need all this extracurricular activity and all this lame booking famous for WWF 1980s booking. And that's what the problem is. But everybody keeps getting on the Nick Patrick stuff. And I'm getting on that Hogan bullcrap. Like all these weird endings that don't need to be. Just play it straight and you would have had the greatest moment in wrestling history right there. Go ahead, MD.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me? I was on mute. My bad. Can you
Yeah,
hear
I
me?
can hear you now. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. So again, 1997, in my opinion, at that time was the greatest year of professional wrestling. Look at all the stuff that happened in the NWO storyline. You had the DDP, the offering of the NWO shirt to DDP. A great moment in wrestling history. Hit the diamond cutter on Scott Hall. You had the madness coming out. You had you had Fall Brawl 97 with Kurt Hennig turning.
That's
All
one of the
all
best war games.
all this stuff happened. Like this was the greatest year in WCW ever at its height.
I remember Eddie Guerrero and I think Rey Mysterio.
Yeah. Halloween Havoc. You had
Yeah.
Halloween. You had all this stuff happening, and then you culminated with Starrcade '97, one of the greatest entrances ever in the history of professional wrestling. Like it put my hair stand up on my just looking at it. I was like, yeah, this is it. And for that to happen in that match, again, I don't have an issue with the body of the match. I don't have no issue with it. It's Hogan at the end of the day. I'm not expecting much from a Hogan match. You know what I mean? It's more or less about the story of the match. What if I remember correctly, Hogan hit him with the leg drop. Nick Patrick counted 1, 2, 3. I didn't know what was going on. I'm a child. You know what I'm saying?
Hogan also grabbed the tights too.
Yeah, but for it to go cleanly like that, I'm like, what the hell? Like, is that it? You know what I mean? Then Bret Hart comes out talking about it ain't going this way. We all know that he's referencing the screw job. Like, well, I ain't gonna say we all because wrestling was at a mainstream level at that point. Like people will just watch. I knew what was going on, but I'm still like, I'm like, why? Like, I don't need. I'm watching WCW Starrcade. I don't want any WWF references. I don't give a damn. You know what I mean? This is Sting and Hogan for the title. That's all I give a damn about. So why it shouldn't have been done. Looking years back with the stories being told, or Sting said do this, Hogan said do that. It didn't have to be. It never had to be any discrepancies on how the match was going to take place in terms, because I mean we all knew that ultimately, like this is a WrestleMania type moment. Like Sting is going to come out on top. This is what these whole the year and a half to 18 months culminate to this. Like as a smart wrestling fan, we're not stupid, but we want the story to be enthralled within the match. And for Bret Hart to do it, like it was no reason. Like it was the dumbest decision ever made. And then you can't even get the damn count right. You know what I'm saying? That's how you know it's a debacle. You can say what you want about the egos between Hogan and Sting. At the end of the day, Hogan knew how to do business, and he knew that was business. So to even have a discrepancy on what the count should be, like for what? You know, and I'm still not understanding why Sting couldn't win cleanly. So let me ask you: do you blame Hogan for not allowing Sting to win clean, like in the first place? Ultimately he did win clean, but just to have the extra antics, do you think that was a Hogan decision?
It's 100% a Hogan
Absolutely,
decision.
Hogan.
It's
Yeah.
consistent with everything he ever does.
Right. I mean, it was no reason for it. Again, when it comes to the body of the match, I don't, me personally, I don't have an issue with it because I understand that it's a Hulk Hogan match. Like, I'm not expecting much at all. I don't care if he's in the ring with Lou Thesz or, you know, it's Hogan. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, the body of the match, I wasn't expecting much in the first place. I just wanted the story to be told correctly, and it wasn't. Not at the end, it wasn't.
Watch WrestleMania 6 and watch Hogan kick out at the very end of it. He can't have people have their moments, man. He has to add something to cause some doubt.
Yeah. and so if you listen to 83 Weeks, Eric Bischoff talked about this match, and Eric Bischoff said that Sting wasn't tan enough. Like, I can't believe he said that. So he was basically trying to put it on Sting that the match went so bad, like, because he was out of shape. And I mean, Sting looked perfectly fine to me. I mean, you've seen one Hulk Hogan match, you've seen them all. But it's because it's crazy. We've gone over about 30, 40 slides so far, and all we could say was fantastic, fantastic, excellent, excellent, 5-star, 5-star, 5-star. Now you get to this match, and it's a Hogan match. I don't know, man. I think they ruined the perfect moment. But what made it even worse was the next night. So the next night on Nitro, Hogan protested the decision, claiming that Patrick's decision should have been considered final and a rematch was granted. The match ran over Nitro's allotted time, and the finish was aired later in the week on the inaugural episode of Thunder. They were just trying to pop a rating. Similar to Starrcade, 2 different referees declared both men as the winner. Later that night, Dylan vacated the WCW World title, forcing Sting to surrender the belt. Sting responded with his first words on the mic since October 1996, when he told Dylan, "You got no guts." Sting turned to Hogan and said, "And you're a dead man." So after the biggest night ever, now you don't have a champion. I mean, and if that was WCW for you in a nutshell.
And just remember, Hogan, Andre the Giant, 1988, the main event. You see one referee, you see another referee. There always has to be some sort of weird ending or some sort of dispute if he has to lose. This is consistent. Yes, but you're absolutely right, Trevor, about that. Everything is right there, handheld to them. And all they have to do is minimal work to get the big payoff. And they went and did a backflip right into a spiked pit, like in Mortal Kombat. There's no reason to make it more difficult than what it needed to be. And they went out of their way to do that. And now you have no champion. You went from the biggest moment in wrestling history to no champion, and your audience is underwhelmed.
All right. So, I mean, so as 1998 began, the NWO began to splinter. Sting recaptured a vacant WCW World Heavyweight Championship in February at Super Brawl 8 with the help of Savage, who was beginning to split from the NWO, and too much flip-flopping. So Sting went on to successfully defend the title against the likes of Hall, Nash, and Diamond Dallas Page. So speaking of Diamond Dallas Page, a match that MD nominated was DDP versus Sting on Monday Nitro, March 23rd, 1998. What you got on that match?
Great match. Back and forth. a test of will for both competitors. And at the end of the day, Sting won the title, and it was a great match. Again, 98. Well, I would say the beginning of 97 again when they did the angle with him joining the NWO and he diamond cuttered Scott Hall. DDP was on the rise, and this match solidified who he was as a main guy in WCW. Great match. Go back, anybody that hasn't seen it, go back and watch it. Nitro 98, Sting and DDP.
But all we changed was the opponent, and we went right back to great match. I'm just putting it out there.
So, man, I'll tell you, this thing was taking me so long. I crossed over a lot of things. So, all right. So, like Savage, Nash began to pull away from the Hogan-dominated NWO, and Nash helped Savage beat Sting for the championship at Spring Stampede in April. Nash and Savage officially split from the original NWO on May 4th, forming the face group NWO Wolfpack. While Hogan's heel faction became identified as NWO Hollywood. The two NWO factions vied for Sting's allegiance, with Sting's friends, the Giant, joining NWO Hollywood and Luger joining the Wolfpack. Sting seemed to have joined NWO Hollywood when he appeared wearing a black and white NWO shirt, but he soon tore off the shirt to reveal the red and black of the NWO Wolfpack. Sting began wearing red and black face paint and tights as a member of the Wolfpack. So NWO Wolfpack, well, I just thought it was cool with Conan. He was the best part of it to me. But what do you guys think about NWO Wolfpack?
Better than the black and white NWO. Wolfpack in the house. They got the best team.
Especially when they start adding Stevie Ray and Norton and all them guys.
man, you wasn't a fan of the slapjack? Stevie Ray and the slapjack. Stevie Ray hit you with that slapjack, it's over.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that crap was terrible, man. I thought it was cool though, because I like Conan, and Conan was always hype, man. He, you could tell he was playing every stereotype in the world, but Conan was always lit. It was a great thing. So Sting and
they should have ended it there. They should have ended the NWO with the red and black versus black and white. It should have ended right then and there. But it didn't.
And they had a better roster. I mean, you have Macho Man was on the red and black. They had a better lineup than the black and white.
But it descended to madness, though, Van Cat. Disco Inferno was also in the black and white. I mean, the red and black. Disco Inferno. It got crazy. They should have ended it with the main four versus the main four. It should have the NWO storyline should have ended right there.
They should have ended it at Starrcade. That year, Starrcade. They could have had like a tag team or a 6-man and ended it right there. That would have been good.
Yeah. Also one of the greatest wrestling themes of all time. Wolfpack is back.
Yeah, Wolfpack.
Wolfpack in the house.
Oh, hell yeah.
Can't you see it's the bad boys of wrestling?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that Wolfpack theme, yeah. So
by C Murder.
So we're just gonna run through some of this stuff real quick. So Sting and the Giant won the WCW World Tag Team Championships at Slamboree in May when Hall turned on his teammate Nash. Sting and the Giant then split due to each man joining opposite sides of the NWO. And the team was forced to vacate the titles 18 days later. A lot of hot potatoing going on both companies during that time. Sting defeated the Giant at the Great American Bash in June to take control of the tag team titles and chose Nash as his partner. Throughout the summer, Sting and his fellow Wolfpack members, Nash, Luger, and Conan, feuded with Hogan and NWO Hollywood. Sting also got involved in a feud with Bret Hart over the similar finishing holds, the sharpshooter and the Scorpion Deathlock. Hart cost Sting and Nash the tag titles by interfering in their match with Hall and the Giant on July 20th Nitro. Sting and Hart squared off at Halloween Havoc, where Hart the United States champion attacked Sting with a baseball bat, putting Sting out of action for several months. Ironically, Hart would eventually be pinned by Sting after he himself fell afoul of the baseball bat wielded by Luger. So, wait a minute. All right, so Sting returned to Nitro.
That sounds backwards, unless because at Halloween Havoc '98, Sting and Bret Hart had a match, and Bret Hart pretty much beat down Sting, and that's how it ended.
My things are backwards.
Yeah, he hit Sting right in the head, and then he pinned him.
Yeah, my things are backwards. I'm telling you, man, when you're looking at a screen too long, man, this is what happens. I mean, yeah, we'll piece it together though, but my things are backwards. So, damn, that sucks. All right, so yeah, because now I got Sting returned to Nitro in March 1999, sporting the black and white Crow-inspired attire he debuted in 1996 at the beginning to participate in more mic work. By this time, the NWO storyline had faded, and Sting was not aligned with any of its factions. So Sting competed in the main event of April's Spring Stampede, a four corners match for the World Championship against Hogan, DDP, and champion Ric Flair.
That's what DDP wanted.
Savage served as special guest referee and delivered a diving elbow drop to help DDP win the match and the title. So that was at April's Spring Stampede. So
yeah,
Sting defeated Page on the April 26th episode of Nitro to win the WCW World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, it was a short one.
Yeah, later that night, boy, this is ridiculous.
An even shorter one.
So this is crazy. So now on that,
that's why when these guys say I'm a 15-time world champion, it doesn't mean anything.
So on this night, so Sting defeated Page on April 26th. Later that night, Sting defended the title in a four-way match featuring DDP, Goldberg, and a returning Kevin Nash. Why the hell would he do that? I don't know. But this was later that night. DDP won the title without directly beating Sting. So Sting's 90-minute title reign was only the second shortest WCW World Heavyweight Championship reign in history. So now we're starting to see WCW starting to unravel here. So in just ridiculousness, so Sting lost to Rick Steiner in a Falls Count Anywhere match at the Great American Bash after he was attacked by Steiner's three pet dogs backstage and Steiner forced the referees to prematurely declare himself the victor, claiming his dogs had pinned Sting for him. I mean, come on, man. We crap on the Kennel from Hell match, which was awful, but my goodness, man, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, it was a wrap at this point, man. It was a wrap.
Come on, man. All right, so Sting defeated Flair on the July 19th episode of Nitro to become the on-screen president of WCW. I forgot that was a thing. Later that night, Nash turned heel by attacking Hogan during the title defense against Vicious. Sting remained president for just 1 week and used his power to book a main event pitting Hogan and himself against Nash and Vicious. Sting vacated the presidency the following week because he only wanted Flair out of the position rather than wanting the power for himself. Along with Goldberg, Sting and Hogan feuded with Nash, Vicious, and Rick Steiner for the next month. I remember that. I just thought that was weird, that pairing. They had that awesome six-man on Nitro though when Hogan came back in the red and yellow. Sting began to question Hogan's trustworthiness in the weeks leading up to Fall Brawl. At the September pay-per-view, Lex Luger brought out a baseball bat to the ring and Sting used it to beat Hulk Hogan for his sixth and final WCW World Championship. So is a lot of cluster going on here. I mean, like they at this point, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Sting's heel turn and subsequent attitude change did not resonate with the WCW fans. They still cheered Sting despite the fact that he was supposed to be the villain. So Hogan beating Sting with a baseball bat, turning heel. I mean, Sting beating Hogan with the baseball bat, turning heel. What do you guys think about that?
I think they're just reaching for something, and it ain't flying. It ain't flying. It's just weak.
Yeah. I remember this whole thing when Flair was president and he was going crazy, and he was in the crazy house, and I remember all that stuff in '99. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
It ain't 1995 bad, but it's up there.
Oh, 1995 was the worst year in wrestling, period. Just, I mean, Mabel, come on, man. So then at Halloween,
That man will be humping people, man. My God, he's not Viscera. Viscera humping people.
yeah.
My goodness.
Then at Halloween Havoc, Sting retained the WCW heavyweight title against Hogan after Hogan entered the ring in street clothes and laid down for Sting to pin him.
I hate that type of
After
stuff.
the match, Sting sounded his disdain. As a result, he issued an open challenge for later that night. So I remember, I didn't know why the hell this was happening. I watched this and I had no idea why Hogan was doing this. This was Hogan being Hogan.
Yeah.
So later that night, Sting lost an unsanctioned match to Goldberg, who accepted his open challenge. So I think this was the night Goldberg wrestled Sid Vicious, where he opened Sid Vicious up like a water faucet.
Yeah.
So Goldberg, who accepted his open challenge and then attacked referee Charles Robinson, Sting was stripped of the title the next night for attacking the referee. So I mean, it's getting crazy here. So Sting entered the 32-man tournament that was set up to award the vacant WCW World Heavyweight Championship. Sting defeated Brian Knobbs, Ming, and Luger to reach the semifinals to be held at WCW Mayhem. At the November event, Sting lost to Bret Hart, the eventual winner of the tournament, by disqualification because Lex Luger bungled it, which led to a falling out with Lex Luger. So let me bring the next one up. This is the last one, man.
Horrible pay-per-view and horrible game. I got the damn game and it was bad. WCW
Wait, hold on. What game? Mayhem?
Yeah, Mayhem. Yeah,
Mayhem's awesome, man.
I did not like Mayhem at all.
Mayhem was great, man. Customized.
When you go from WCW versus NWO World Tour and WCW versus NWO Revenge to that, nah, man. I can't accept.
So yeah, Revenge is the best thing. Mayhem is good, but I do know what you mean. There is aspects that's not great. Revenge is the best one overall, for sure.
Oh, good. I was about to say, I hope I was muted. All that ice got. So Sting sought revenge against Lex Luger the next month at Starrcade. So, and we're almost done. So you got Starrcade 99. Sting won by disqualification when Luger and Miss Elizabeth assaulted Sting with a steel chair and baseball bat, putting Sting out of action for some time. Sting ended his feud with Luger by defeating him. Oh, this is a great one. By defeating him in a Lumberjacks with Cass match at Uncensored the following March. I mean, my goodness, man. Like what are we doing here? Like, this is ridiculous. So WCW officials Vince Russo and Eric Bischoff, in an attempt to save the Fading Company, rebooted all current storylines on April 10, 2000, and declared all titles vacant. At Spring Stampede the following week, Sting advanced to the finals of the United States Championship tournament by defeating Booker T and Vampiro in the first two rounds. Vampiro then cost Sting the championship in the finals against Scott Steiner, leading to an intense feud between Sting and Vampiro. Sting pinned Vampiro at Slamboree in May, and Vampiro beat Sting in the Human Torch match at the Great American Bash. I mean, bro, we getting crazy here. So now they dousing each other with gasoline. Oh, okay. I know y'all saw this where he threw Sting off of the Titantron. What was going through your mind then?
I think that they're trying to play catch up with WWF because they're doing wild stuff like this at that time.
MD, what you thought about that? Like,
I mean, by this point, man, I was tuned out of WCW. I couldn't do it no more. Like basically middle of '99 on. Like, yeah, and it's bad because I was a Vampiro fan. Like, I was rooting for Vampiro. Like the whole stuff with the Misfits, then the New Blood stuff. I was like, okay, I could see what they're trying to do with Vampiro, but it got weird, man. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it at all.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Hey, MD, did you play Raw 2 on Xbox? MD?
Oh, what happened?
Yeah, can you hear me? I'm sorry. I don't know why I keep muting them. Yeah, those games like Mayhem, Raw. I don't know if you remember WCW Nitro.
Yeah.
All those games had like that midway mechanic system. I didn't like that, like at all. What was another game?
Like the first Raw I heard was really bad, but Raw 2 on Xbox, it was like 2002.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It had the midway mechanic system. It had been refined. In any of the wrestling games that had the midway mechanics, I didn't like them. Not after THQ took over.
Right.
Once THQ started making games, their mechanic system was far superior to anything Midway could do. So I was never a fan. What was another one? One of the WWF. Hell, even like the I don't know if you remember the ECW game.
On it?
Yeah, the ECW game had the same mechanics.
Yes.
Yeah, in any of those games, they couldn't hold a candle to THQ at all.
Yeah, but THQ did No Mercy, right?
Yeah, they did No Mercy. They did WrestleMania 2000.
They did Revenge too.
Yeah, Revenge, WCW versus NWO World Tour. All of those games are THQ.
Yeah.
Their mechanic system, and I know we off script, but their mechanic system was far superior than anything Midway could do. So that's why I say it, like they can't hold a candle.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember WCW Backstage Brawl.
No,
that was trash.
Yeah, Backstage Assault. Backstage Assault.
Yeah, trash. Whatever.
It was
trash.
just it was just a backstage. You couldn't get to the ring. Yeah. I bought that brand new. Totally messed my life up.
Man, Okada has a terrible body. You talk about Gunther. He has no muscle, no definition at all.
Yeah, but he's big. He's an anomaly because he's a big Japanese guy. And that equals superstar in Japan. Look at Takeshita. Takeshita built the same way.
Yeah, you're right. And Nakamura built the same way too.
Right. But they huge to be Japanese stars. You know what I mean?
Nakamura is like a drunk pervert. I don't know why is he walking like that? Why is he acting like that? It's just weird.
He's very gangly. Like
yes.
Yeah, he's just a gangly individual, but no chest, like no muscle. Man. The most muscular Japanese guy I ever seen was Bolo Yen.
Yes.
I want to say that's the last muscle-bound Japanese guy I ever seen. So, all right. So you got the Human Torch match at the Great American Bash. For the climax of the match, Borden switched up with a stuntman who was set on fire, thrown off the top of the frame. And that's when Tony Schiavone famously said, this isn't Sting. We're talking about a man here named Steve Borden. We need to get some help, blah, 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 blah. Sting went on the feud with Jeff Jarrett and then Scott Steiner. Steiner attacked and injured Sting in November 2000. Sting remained absent from WCW programming until the final episode of Nitro. By this point, WCW had been purchased by the WWF, and the final match in WCW history pitted Sting against his longtime rival Flair. The two had also competed on the very first episode of Nitro, September 4th, 1995. Sting defeated Flair, and the two embraced at the end of the contest. I mean, Ric Flair has said he was in no shape to wrestle, obviously, because he had on the shirt. They didn't know what the hell was going on, but you got the match in the final Nitro. After the WWF chose not to buy out Sting's contract from AOL Time Warner, he rejected a buyout offer of 50 cents on the dollar from AOL Time Warner, instead waiting until his contract expired in March 2002. He announced a short-lived retirement in February of that year. Borden then entered into, see, this I didn't know. Borden then entered into contract negotiations with the WWF, but ultimately did not join the promotion. I didn't know that he was in talks with them, and that puts an end on Sting's career. Hell, in WCW. And again, that was his WCW run. We didn't get to everything because it's just way too much. I think we covered more than enough. All his fantastic matches. He is truly the icon. Towards the end, it just went downhill because I mean, they got him in the Human Torch match. They got him being bitten by dogs. I mean, they get him constantly laid out with baseball bats. It just, they had no idea what they was doing. But overall, to me, Sting is WCW. Sting is more WCW than Ric Flair because Sting never left. Because when I think about WCW, I think Sting is the first name that comes to my mind. Fantastic career. Top 5 wrestler in my book. Because I did not have him in the top 5 until I did this. I got to reshuffle some people out now.
Well, you know who did have him in his top 5? This guy.
So, but I mean, Sting, I mean, there's nothing else you can say on Sting's career. Like I said, this took me a long time to do, and you could tell because I started jumbling stuff up at the end, and I was trying to hurry up and finish before my voice completely cracked on me. But, I mean, A+ career from Sting. We will cover a part 2 that covers his TNA run, his short WWE run, and his AEW run. I just couldn't, it just got too tired. And I knew it would have been taking forever.
That episode, we're going to have fireworks in there just talking about Triple H. That bull crap.
So, yeah, so we definitely gonna do that sooner rather than later. So just in close out, like before we get to any other announcement, well, just put a bow on Sting's WCW career.
Sting was the defining athlete at WCW. When you think WCW, it always is going to have an image of Sting, preferably the Surfer Sting. That's my preferred version. That's an amazing career. I just love the fact of how, now everyone is getting a complete appreciation of Sting. I think a lot of times we like to gloss over, and it just seems like a lot of revisionist history that goes on today, and we forget those kind of contributions. And it's just, well, WWE is the active functioning league, and all their mainstay guys are the first ideas of what great wrestling was, and that is far from the truth. So for Sting to get his accolades and recognition is way overdue, and it should have never left. It should have always been there.
Yeah, no question. The franchise of WCW will always be Sting. You know what I mean? With me, because my introduction to him was in '93. I more or less go with the Crow Sting because that's the most years that I've been enthralled in the Sting legacy is the Crow Sting. And again, that year, 1997, what it meant for WCW and how it culminated, it's tragic the way it ended, but yet still in my eyes, it's the greatest year of professional wrestling history, and Sting was the protagonist in that year. So I'll always remember him for that. And again, like you said, when you say WCW, out of all of the people, even through the Jim Crockett promotion years, they've come and come and gone and come back. Even Dusty, you know what I'm saying? So it's always going that's the face. It's Sting, no question.
So I appreciate that, Bones. So just so everybody knows, my avatar is Donovan McNabb because MD said that I got tired in the Super Bowl, basically. So so Bones will get that reference also. So it is true. We are taking a little break. The next show I have scheduled for Wrestling with Reality is 2 weeks from now, April 3rd. The WrestleMania preview show. We got WrestleMania preview, which is probably gonna have 20 matches. His greatest rival to me is Ric Flair and Vader. We got the WrestleMania preview show, which is probably gonna have about 20 matches on it. And then, like I said, I want to go live during the WrestleMania main event, night 2. Well, no, night 1 too, because that's The Rock and Roman and Cody and Seth.
That's a tag match.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fireworks in that. So I do plan to go live, do a live watch along during those 2 matches. So it's going to be a marathon. But Donovan McNabb, being myself, I'm worn out. I'm tired, and y'all can hear my throat. I'm trying to hold on because it never got a chance to heal fully. So after I do this interview tomorrow, I'm done for 2 weeks. Tate Fizz Politics is going to keep on rolling, though. Y'all check out the show from last night. Fantastic. And then they're doing a reparations show also. So what I did want to say, though, Venkat, listen to that message that I sent you, because we got some stuff we got to do. I sent it to you on WhatsApp. I'm almost 80% that I'm going to do an NFL free agency show this Saturday. Just because it's just too much. The Atlanta Falcons is now the Super Bowl favorites. Don't
start that, man. Don't put no juju on that, man.
Hey, I'm hearing that y'all going to get Justin Jefferson's too.
I know he said something on Twitter. I believe that was yesterday. Hey, don't put no juju on us, man. I ain't do nothing to you.
If that happens, I'm putting something on y'all. I mean, because if not. I mean, come on, man. So I do plan on doing the NFL show this Saturday, and just preparing for this Sting show. It reinvigorated me more for what I really do plan on doing in the future. I want to go back and relive some of these old matches and just break down the matches alone and not necessarily do a wrestling show. So that's where we are now with that. Like I said, Venkat, go check your voicemail. Check your voicemail on WhatsApp and let me know what's up. I'm done. You have to close out the show, Venkat. My is shot. I got nothing left. So fantastic show, fellas, man. Thank y'all for taking the ride. The show actually would have been much shorter, but we did the whole 40 minutes of Tate Fizz Politics talk, but it's fine. It happened. So this show actually would have been like a 2-hour show, which shocked the hell out of me. I mapped out 3 hours for it, but I thought it was strictly going to be on the Sting stuff. So this is a great show. Sting, fantastic wrestler, man. So hopefully y'all share the show out. Those of you on Facebook.
See, look what you started, man. Now there go Bones, man.
Hey,
you
Bones,
shouldn't have said nothing.
Save it for Saturday, Bones. Save it for Saturday.
God dang, man.
I'm gonna fire up Saturday because there's a lot going on in the NFL that we got to talk about. So
that's fine, Bones. Y'all overpaid y'all mediocre quarterback. We'll see what he do next season.
Hey, at least he got a playoff win. At least he got a playoff win.
Hey, man. See, let me shut the hell up. I ain't saying nothing else, man.
Venkat, go on and close it out, man. I got nothing. I'm out of here.
All right. Have a good one, Trevor.
All right.
All right, so we're gonna have Tape Fist Politics next week. That's gonna be episode 26, the reparations show. Join me, MD, Ricardo, maybe Sir Others. We'll see. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. He is the ODB of the group. And we may see Jeremy as well, who would
Yeah,
probably be there
I'm
as well.
interested. Yeah, I'm interested to hear his take on reparations. Jeremy Dunbar, you know, being of the Caucasian persuasion. Let's see what he got to say about it.
yeah, it will be interesting. There's just going to be some great conversations, hearing different opinions, objectives. I'm looking forward to the show extremely so. And the week after, we're going to have episode number 27, and that is The Politics of Sex, Rise of the Fornicators. This is Ricardo's baby, and I think it'll be a hell of a doozy of a show as well. That's going to be in 2 weeks, and we'll just go over some different political topics that have different sex scandals and whatnot.
Now, Van Camp, why do you have the 45th First Lady in that light? Why did you do that?
I didn't do that, brother. She did that. That was her decision, not mine. I'm just putting it out there. So yeah, join us for that show. It's going to be an interesting show as usual. And if you didn't see yesterday's show, you might want to check it out. That show was great debate. We had many topics that we went over. Campaign contributions being used to cover criminal debts, legal fees. We went over all the different news topics. Mitch McConnell retiring. Just a lot of different things that we covered, and we had some interesting talk on the tragedy going on in Haiti and what's going on in Gaza. So look at all the past shows. Check out last night's show. If you didn't, you'll have some great stuff that you can see there. Check us out, like I said, episode 26 next week, reparations. Then the week after, the politics of sex. So, MD, anything else you want to plug or say before we sign off here?
No, that's pretty much it, man. Great show as always. Another great Wrestling with Reality. I'm glad that we're getting back into the retrospectives. You know, I think it's good to reminisce on a lot of the stuff that happened in the past, as well as educate a lot of guys that maybe weren't there at that time of those previous encounters with a lot of wrestling. Hey, Wayne, count your days. Count your days, for they may be short. You got 2 weeks. And that's all I'll say.
Yep, 2 weeks, the big showdown. Wayne versus MD. The immovable object versus the indestructible object. Who's gonna be the one that's gonna go down to the force? You got MD, you got Wayne, and the topic again. That topic is about the manosphere.
Yeah, it is the black manosphere did it derive from the incel community? Get your affairs in order, Wayne. make peace with your family and friends.
All right, awesome. So, without further ado, I'd like to say goodnight to everyone. Peace to everyone in the chat, Bones. And we'll see you guys next week. Trevor, again, he'll be off for the next 2 weeks, but you got the debate coming up, and you got a couple of TFP shows that'll also be available. And for everyone here at Straight Talk Society, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. And until then, peace.
Peace.
Now the whole world can acknowledge me.
You'll get the shit. You'll be knee deep in the shit.
take you home.
What?
You're gonna be mine.